Lordy. The pre-show before the actual show. That's what this is right now. The pre-show before the actual show. You guys get to experience loveliness behind the scenes here. Okay.
Well, at least at this point, guys, at least you don't have us with the 3 takes deal.
Oh, don't even remind me about what happened last week. Jesus Christ.
You know,
Dogs barking.
at this point, I was wondering. I was like, is this the last couple of weeks? This show seems to be having its own little drama in the show. Like the last 3 weeks.
You mean as far as challenges?
Challenges.
Yeah.
You're doing a show, and then you're 30, 20, 30, 40 minutes in, and you're like, what do you mean no audio?
Yeah.
And the funny thing was, Lee said, "Oh, just heck with it." And next thing I know, we're doing a whole nother show. I was like, wait a minute. I'm so confused because you just said bump it 20 seconds ago. Now we're doing another show.
Right.
So I am Tammy Sanders, and this is Lee Sanders, obviously.
What's up, y'all? You're checking out Wrestling with the Topics, dropping this weekend for September 22nd, 2024. What a nice bookend to what has been a weird week when it's all said and done. So, how this week began, and Tammy ends up putting a damn nice little ribbon on this week with her little experience that happened within the past 48 to 72 hours. More on that in a little bit. But what a weird week I had, which saw some nice high points. But to kick off the week was just, So I go into Sunday night because mother-in-law comes up, and usually mother-in-law will come up. She'll spend a couple of days with us. It's really convenient for her because she's more closer to work and everything. And plus, it's her way of catching up with us, mainly Tams and everything, because it's rare I cross paths with her because of my ridiculous schedule these days. But it's always nice when she comes up and everything. So, as always, I go, okay, well, I'm always the odd man out, and that's fine. Let me move the car across the street because, one, I want to make sure that both women have their respected parking spaces. I don't want them walking that far just to get to their cars and everything, especially at the times that they leave out for work, because typically
it's early.
It's very, very early. Put it to you this way: most of
How
you
early
all
is
are
it?
still sleeping. That's how it is. Most of you all are still sleeping. That's how early both women have to get up and everything.
Yeah.
So anyway, Sunday night, this is last Sunday night I'm talking about, by the way. So Sunday night, I move the car across the street, and there is just this general parking. It's pretty much spots are available on a first come, first serve basis. Okay. We don't do like some areas, and it was kind of funny because for my local news out here in the DC metropolitan area, they actually did this report. It was by Josh Rosenthal. He did this really great report talking about how in certain parts of the DMV, motherfuckers are taking laundry baskets, orange cones, printers, you name it, a rocking chair, you name it. And they basically are putting this as a parking lot holder, basically dibs. And the county had cracked down on this by going, yeah, no. This isn't how we're going to be doing this. And they had used a grand total of not one, not two, but three big old flatbed dumpster trucks, all filled with all of those debris of parking spot holders. Okay. And they one person decided he was going to share his thoughts about the whole matter in an interview with Josh on the premise of, yo, don't show my face, but I'll tell you exactly why people like me do what we do, because we're not bad guys here. And he was validated because he said to Josh, look, this is how it is. If I leave to go to work and basically come home, there is not going to be a parking spot for me by the time I get home. And he told Josh, this is around 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night. There's not going to be any
Wow.
parking. And Josh is like, really? He's like, yeah, really. This is why a lot of us operate the way that we do. Sure enough, Josh pretty much sat in the area, was checking everything out. Sure enough, dude was very accurate and everything. So, way they're trying to combat it now is they're trying to look into permit parking. Because the other thing that that person said in the interview, he's like, look, we've got people that are coming over here and they don't even live in this neighborhood. They live nowhere around here, and they're
Oh,
just
wow.
parking their car and they're walking like 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes to wherever the hell they live, but they don't live in this general vicinity of all the homes and apartments that you see around here. And I thought to myself, yeah, that's pretty fucked up. And then the other thing that he mentioned, something that we've been talking about off and on these past several weeks, he said to Josh, hey, not for nothing, but you have so many people crammed into a single household
Yes.
between all these homes and apartments,
Mm-hmm.
and there's multiple cars as a result. And I
Yep.
was like, yes, I felt so validated hearing that, because I've been saying to Tams for years how the neighborhood has changed. Now, some of you guys may go, Lee, you kind of lost me a little bit, because it kind of seemed like, no, no, no. If you really stop to think about it, it's on topic, it's on point, it connects back to my experience and the crazy start to my week, because it's hard for me to get a parking spot across the street. Now, some of you may say, because we live in a decent housing condominium. Like, everybody has their own homes, including us, and everybody is designated a two parking spots. Although some homes only have one parking spot, but majority have two parking spots to a home. And it's not always set up in a way where the way it's laid out, okay, this house, here's your two spots right here. For some homes, it's okay, here's one spot, and then the next one is going to go to this house. Your second spot is going to be over here, and your second spot is going to be over here. And then there's visitor parking. Don't get me started on the visitor parking, because the visitor parking is pretty much like what I just told you happened from Josh's report. So your best bet is, depending on the time of day and night, is to go park across the street. You got to be on it though, because if you want a decent spot, right? So Sunday morning, in preparation of moms, I said, okay, let me go ahead, let me move the car. I find the sweetest fucking spot across the street. I'm like the third car up front. I'm going, oh, yes. God, yes, this is heaven. You have no idea how that just tickles my fanny when it's, oh my God, I'm one of the first 3 to 5 cars. Hot damn. Because that just means I don't have to walk that long. Not that I'm being a lazy ass, but it's very convenient to, okay, I don't have to walk that far. I don't have to walk that long. Bada bing, bada boom. I'm in my ride. Boom, time to go. Especially now that I've got a loaded up semester of classes, I'm pressed for time. And, on some days of the week, of the work week, I have classes early in the morning. So I'm trying to do everything in my power to, okay, I really don't want to go through cross guards and, the yellow buses. Like, I don't want to go through all, like, I want to be far removed from that as possible. The less convenient I have to be experiencing all that, the better. Find a great parking spot. I go, yes. Told Tams where I parked. I'm like, hey, it's good. Wake up the next day. All I'm thinking about is, God, hope I get there on time. Hope I get there on time. Hope I'm leaving out. You know, I see this guy walking in front of me. He's like about maybe 10 feet away. And he looks at my car. I'm going, oh, it is a nice car, isn't it? I'm thinking to myself. And then at the same time, I go, wonder what he's looking at exactly. Next thing I know, and I never do this. I never do this. I've never done this since I've been back to school and everything. I've never done this. But normally I take my book bag and all that, I put it on the back passenger driver side. So basically on the car's respected left side.
Mm-hmm.
But today, or on that day, I said, let me go on the right side. And maybe this was triggered because I was trying to see exactly what this guy was looking at. I don't know. There in front of me, my side mirror has been ripped out. Thank God it was still connected to its cord because it's an automatic thing as far as adjusting the mirror and all that. Otherwise, you'd have to do it manually, which would be a bitch because right now the passenger window does not come down. So I've got to get that fixed. So the door stays up. That window stays up 24/7. Like you can't do nothing to it, right? So that actually might be a good thing the way you look at it. It really depends. But my side mirror is completely destroyed. It's cracked. It's ripped up. I'm like, oh my God, what the hell? I'm debating on whether or not I can go to my class. I hit up Tams. I tell her what's going on. And you were like, are you okay? What's going on? I'm like, nah, I'm not okay. I'm like, somebody fucked up my ride. And, I send her a picture. I send her a video. And it's weird because I wasn't upset, but I was irritated. That's the best way I can sum it up.
Mm-hmm.
I was irritated. And I think maybe the irritation came in from the standpoint of, great, now I got to spend money
To fix that.
to fix that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And like many Americans are pinching pennies, dollars, whatever you want to call it, as it is, and it's like, ugh, for this to happen, it's like, no, man, like this isn't cool. So I went to my classes and I came on back and I told Tams, I said, okay, I'm gonna see if I can go to the nearby auto zone, see if I can pick up something that can help me out. So I go there and let me tell you guys something. Let me tell you guys something. Remember this because this plays a very critical role into everything else. Because boy, was this it's going to get real funny in a minute. Let me tell you that. So I go to AutoZone. I remember some of the great service that I've had at this particular AutoZone in the past, and I'm going, okay, well, you know what? If anybody can help me, not that I'm looking for mechanic repairs or mechanic advice, but these are people that at the end of the day, gee, I don't know, they drive a fucking vehicle like me. So they should be able to tell me, yeah, for something like what you're talking about, what you're trying to patch up on your own, this be a good thing to start with. I'd recommend that. But keep your receipt just in case it might not work out for you and maybe you want to get credit, in-store credit, or see if we can give you an exchange, what have you. I go there. One of the things I see is a universal side mirror mount, and it just happens to be for the right side. I go, wow, but would this fit my vehicle? And I'm looking at it and it doesn't say my Honda it doesn't mention Honda, but I'm like scrutinizing this universal joint and I'm going, this looks like it looks like it can. The only thing is you can definitely tell by looking at it. If I were to get it successfully installed,
Right.
you'd be able to tell, oh,
That's different.
different eyeball there, huh? Right?
Mm-hmm.
A blue eyeball and a brown eyeball. How about that? So, but I grabbed this. I grabbed some Gorilla tape. I grabbed this cut me out mirror plastic or whatever the hell it was. Apparently, you could take a pair of scissors and cut this in the shape of what you need for your respected. I'm like, okay, go to the guy. Remember, this is AutoZone. Years prior, great fucking service. Go to AutoZone. I get this old white guy. I've gotten him before. Never really conversed with him or anything, but I've been very cordial. And I say to him straight up, I say, hey, could you tell me out of these three things that I have here? And I let him know, give him the bullet points, let him know what happened. Oh, well, I'm not a mechanic, so I really couldn't tell you. And I'm just thinking to myself, motherfucker, way to be just totally fucking dismissive. I didn't say fix my fucking car. Because I told him what happened. And I said, you think maybe you, or if you could maybe get a fellow coworker to maybe come tag along with me outside and look at what I'm talking about. And maybe just off of this selection would be a great thing for me to start off with and go from there. And he just, oh, we're not mechanics. I'm not a mechanic. And it's like, and I told him, I said, I understand you're not a mechanic. It's like, I actually have somebody that is potentially going to fix it for me. But in the meantime, I just need a band-aid. And he's like, I can't really tell you. And so I'm asking him now, okay, have you sold many units of this? Have you sold units of this? Have you sold units of that? I'm asking him these fucking questions now. And basically, at this point, it just came down to price. So the universal joint that I was looking at, I hate the snapping sound. Don't do the snap.
Sorry.
Yeah, it distracts me. So I say to him, okay, well, how much is the side mirror universal thing in Majigga there? It's like, oh, this is $30. I'm like, okay. And how much is the tape? Oh, the tape is $8. I'm like, fuck me. I'm like, well, for $8, it should hold up pretty well. And most part, the tape did. I never
Yeah,
used I
it
never
actually did.
yeah, I never used the side mirror crap. I never used that. So I gotta find the receipt, see if I can. But I remember when I was telling you about this, I said, man, the customer service, and maybe you guys can relate to this, but the customer service, particularly at these AutoZone chains, I remember back in the day, if you ask an employee there what I asked them, hey, you think you could come outside, look at it and maybe give me your honest advice, you know,
Mhm.
and they would go, yeah, sure, yeah, let's go. Like, and you would random times you would
Yeah.
see them in a little red shirt, they'd be out there, and it's like, wow, hey, that's great fucking service. That's how you have customers coming back again and again and again. And I did not get that this go round. So it was like, oh, okay, okay, I see how it is. All right, whatever. Next thing you know, the people I had in mind as far as fixing the side mirror, I go, hey, blah, 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 via email, blah, 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 how much for a side mirror? These motherfuckers want to charge your man almost $300 just to fix a side mirror. Almost $300. Now, at that point, I'm going, just fix it, get it done. Like, I got better things to worry about. And baby stepped in. She's like, that's a bit excessive. Like, you think so? She's like, yeah, like, I'm pretty sure you can fix this yourself. And I'm going, I don't really know. She's like, no, 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 no. Like, look online. Like, I'm pretty sure you can fix that yourself. Like, okay, all right. It's like, I'll do it, and we'll go from there. She's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you can fix it yourself. Matter of fact, for where it's located, pretty easy to pop into that thing, do what you need to do. Like, you should be in and out. Like, you ain't gonna need to spend no $300. It's like what it really comes down to is just actually finding the part itself. Okay, all right. And so your advice to me was start with finding the part, then look online, see the installation process, go from there. Because the worst case scenario would be, okay, if it is too complex, we already got the part. So that's definitely gonna take off significantly as far as the labor goes.
Mhm.
And I got to tell you, all combined, I was expecting to pay, if you're asking me, realistically, Lee, how much were you thinking it was going to be for a side mirror repair? with labor included. I was thinking like maybe 150. I think you said 175 is
Yeah.
kind of really pushing it. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I go on YouTube. I love going down the YouTube rabbit hole and everything. I found this really cool ass channel, and I definitely want to give this YouTube channel a lot of props because they helped me big time. I saw how easy it was to install the side mirror. TRQ is the name of the channel, by the way. Saw how easy it was. I said, okay, all right, sweet. I mean, they were in and out. I mean, their video was like 5 minutes. Didn't miss a beat. Very clear, very concise, straight to the point,
Mm-hmm.
no bull.
Mm-hmm.
And the coolest thing I loved about all this, and it didn't dawn on me until after the fact, is the fact that it was a woman that was like, it never, I just wanted the information, like, and like, it didn't dawn on me until like after the fact. Hey, this woman knows her shit. Like, not that it's a sex thing, but for me in my personal book, it was just cool that it was a woman mechanic that was, like, oh, that's nice. I don't know what it is, but I like women that know stuff about cars. I just find that very alluring, attractive, for some reason. I don't know. So whenever I get around Tams and her moms and they're saying a little something about cars, like my ears get excited and I'm paying attention to what they're saying and all that. So anyway, I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do this myself. So I ordered a part on eBay, got a great fucking deal. Great fucking deal. I was able to get the piece for like $80.
Mm-hmm.
Bitch came lightning fast. Lightning fast. What would you say? 2 days, 3 days tops? 2 days, 3 days tops?
I'd say probably 3 days tops.
Heaven. Heaven. Got that part. I said, Tams, it came. She's like, really? That fast? Like, yeah.
Well, yeah, but see, no, the part of it.
No, like when it actually came.
No, when you were telling me that it came, it was like the day after I ordered it. And so I'm like, it couldn't be that quick. But okay. And that was the end of that conversation. Then later on, Lee said, oh, yeah, it's actually been shipped. And it'll be here, in a few days. I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, that makes more sense. So then Lee said, oh, yeah, it's en route. It's almost here. And it'll be here on Friday between 12 and 3. Oh, fantastic. I'm off. You're off. Let's do it.
So this is where the Curb Your Enthusiasm moment really kicks into play here. Because this literally was an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. So get the part, boom, like clockwork. And I got to make sure I leave these guys a review as well. If you bear with me, maybe at some point during the show, for you guys that might be interested, if I can figure out the name of the eBayer, I'll hook you guys up. Because I mean, that the shipping speed, reasonable prices, everything was on point there. I definitely want to show them some love. I mean, we aren't a sponsor, but I love when I get exceptional service like that. So anyway, part comes like clockwork, no problem. We get ready to install the thing. And honestly, we're estimating that it's going to take like about 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes tops to do this bad boy. So taking the cover off, easy. Getting ready to use a wrench, a fucking problem. Because much like what the video said, the mechanic goes, yeah, 8-quarter wrench, whatever that terminology is. I obviously am not a handy man like that. I just, what do I need? What's the number? Okay, great. All right, give me that then. I'll now figure it out. Obviously I'm looking at stuff on YouTube or whatever, but I ain't no Bob Vila Okay. Right. I don't know all the lingo, like that, right? So some people are gonna snicker. But anyway, I'm like, okay, so I need a wrench. So I'm like, babe, we need an 8 blah 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 wrench. And she's like, oh, okay, okay. Well, let's see what we got in the house. Like, yeah, let's see what we got. Like, yeah, we ain't got it. It's like, did your mom leave anything behind? No, it's probably in her car. Like, okay, so we ain't got what we need. What do we do? So Tams goes, and at this point, I don't even know where she's going. I just know she went and she's getting the stuff, right? Right. I'm thinking to myself, I don't know where she went, but I'm thinking, based on what happened with my experience at AutoZone, because I told her straight up, I said, the day of all that crap went down, I said repeatedly to her, I said, don't go to that AutoZone. I was like, the service fucking sucks. Don't go to that AutoZone. Like, it's shit. So I'm not even like thinking, oh, I hope she's not going to AutoZone. I'm just like, oh, all right, she's doing that. I'm sitting in the car. I'm just browsing. She comes back. Right. My hands are big. Okay. They're not Shaq big, but they are big hands. So she gives me this little fucking tiny little mini wrench set. And I'm looking at this shit. And I'm thinking about that fucking commercial from back in the day. Real power tool shop. And they had the little boys. It was always boys. It was never girls. I remember that back then. Anybody that remembers, it was this little tool set that was aimed towards little kids. And now that I think about it, way to try to teach your kids, hey, this is the masculine thing to do. This is what men do. They play with these tinker tools to fix this and fix that. Don't you want to be a man? It's kind of interesting when I think about it now, not to mention Tonka, using all the little trucks and all, but Real Power Tool Shop. Go look that up online. It's fucking hilarious. So I'm looking at these little tiny, and I'm looking at this. I'm going, what the fuck am I supposed to do with that? And I think I might have said something along the lines to her. What am I supposed to do with that? She's like, oh, it's got everything you need right here. And I'm like, yeah, but it's tiny. And she's like, yeah, don't worry about that. It's like, it's everything that you need. And I'm like, honey, I'm trying at this point, not to yell at the wifey, because we're outside and everything. And I'm like, sweetheart, love of my life, baby. So I have big hands, tiny tools. That doesn't quite work out usually well for me. Oh, okay. Well, but try it. You'll be like, okay.
I actually offered to do it for him.
And I flat out said no, because I wanted to learn how to do this myself. To the point I told her, I said, hey, you're not always going to be with me. I got to know how to do this stuff on my own, right? So that was my thought process. So I go in with this little tiny little fucking wrench. I felt like, it felt like I had a fucking, teacup in my hand. Does anybody remember the Batman the animated series episode with Mad Hatter? And when the mice were drinking those little tiny little teacups when he was controlling, I felt like big hands, little tiny little teacup, Daddy, come play house with me. I felt like that's what was in my hands with this wrench. And I'm just going, at this point, please don't drop this in between the car door. Please don't drop this in between the car door. Please don't drop this in between the car door. Whatever you do not drop this in between the car door. Because if you drop this in between the car door, you're fucked. I needed 2 types of wrenches. First one went through perfectly. Second one, some bitch, went in between the car door. And so I'm explaining to Tams, the situation, and she's not quite, processing yet. So
I didn't know it had fallen.
Yeah, so I'm like literally giving her a, well, Jim, here's what happened exactly. As you can see by the play, the wrench went in between here. As a result of going down there, Jim, can't get to it. What are we gonna do, Jim? Tony, it's kind of one of those type of deals. And so I'm like, um, and I was telling her leading up to this, hey, we need to get, nice big, like what the mechanic had in the video. We need to get one of them nice big, get one of them joints. So Tams goes back into the car, her car. She drives off, and I'm still not going. I wonder where she's going. Right? Each time. Yes, it's happened more than once, obviously, but each time it's like, where's she going here? Right? I don't know if she's going to Giant. I don't know if she's local food store out here. I don't know if she's going, trying to staple. I don't know what the fuck she's doing. I just know each time she pops up, she went somewhere for a wrench set. So the next time she comes back, again, thank Curb Your Enthusiasm. So she comes back. It's like, hey, all right. I feel like Paul Sorvino and Goodfellas, the scene where Paulie's in fucking prison and he's waiting for Henry to come in with the meats or whatever. Now we can eat. I see her and it's like, hey, now we can fix the ride. And I just got the song playing in my head. I'd rather go from rags to riches. I'm feeling all happy and shit now that I see her. I'm like, all right, here we go. Second time around. What the fuck is that? And she's like, oh, it's a universal wrench. I'm like, uh-huh. And what am I supposed to do with this exactly? She's like, well, you're supposed to, put these on it. And then she shows me an additional thing, which is like this box set of the parts that apparently I can just snap onto this wrench. And I'm like, what does this dowel thing do? She's like, oh, you can reverse it when you're tightening it and all that. I'm like, oh, okay. Motherfucker. It takes me 30 minutes to fucking get this black hard plastic son of a bitch thing that's on this wrench. And I'm like, I'm taking a pair of scissors. I'm stabbing the fuck out of the bitch. I'm trying to slice it. I'm trying to dice it. I'm trying to do everything to it. Pop this bitch off. And this bitch ain't coming off for nothing. And I'm going, well, this is literally an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. I'm about to fucking blow my gasket at this point. And then something just goes, well, motherfucker, have you tried just seeing if the thing will just come off just by pulling it off? Just pull it off. Just pull it off. Like you're going in for a slice of gum and you just pull it out the pack. Just see what happens if you pull it off. Because you tried everything else. Came off with ease. The motherfucker on the thing says cut. That's why I took a knife. I took a pair of scissors. I took some pliers. I tried. I was about to take my teeth. I didn't want to mess my teeth up. I took everything. And I said to Tams, 30 minutes later, what they should have said was pull off. She's like, yeah, that probably would have helped. I'm like, yeah, like, okay, well, we got that over and done with.
Essentially trying to help, but it was more like, no, I got it.
Yeah.
So I said, all right.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, okay, now we can get down to business. All right, give me the little 8 miller thingamajigger. Okay, it's not fitting. Are you sure? Well, yeah, I'm trying it. It ain't fitting. Well, try it the other way. I did that. It ain't fitting. Well, maybe it's the next size up. Well, maybe it is. Let's see. That's not fitting. Next size up. That's not fitting. Next size up. That's not fitting. You tried both sides? Yeah, try both sides. It's not fitting. What have we learned here? Okay. So, and at this point, it dawned on me, and I said to Tabs, I said, "Hun, did you make sure that this wrench and this set of things that you got here was all from the same company. Well, no, but I figured that, it's like, no. I said, I felt like Martin Lawrence, damn it, no, 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 no.
Well, actually, it was from the same company.
You could have fooled me.
What happened was that the size of the sockets versus the size of the wrench.
Well, let me tell you how this shit went down. Fuck all that noise. You know how this went down? Y'all remember the classic episode of Looney Tunes and Sylvester the cat was left alone in the house because its owners had went on some winter vacation and he was wondering what he was going to do for food. And then he saw that there was a pantry full of fucking tuna. And he was like, yes. And the mouse had the fucking can opener. And for the whole fucking episode, Sylvester tried his best to chase that fucking mouse and everything. When he finally did get the fucking can opener from the mouse, when he ran to the cabinet to try to get himself some food, the fucking cabinet was on lockdown. It had a padlock on it, and the fucking mouse goes, psst, and turns out the mouse had a key to the fucking padlock, and poor Sylvester just lost it, and he screamed his ass off, and that ended the episode, right? I say all that because in order to make all that work, you needed the fucking universal adapter to put on the wrench so you can put the little fucking sockets on the bitch.
Correct. Then I had to go out one more time because we didn't have the connector.
What we just talked about.
Well, actually, no. So basically, out of all of this loveliness, Lee has gotten to the point where he's now annoyed. And I'm annoyed. So he said, well, so most people go to an automotive joint when they have to get automotive things. So I went to the first time I went to AutoZone, which is a local thing out here for us. Then we also have Advance. Advance is not my first choice because generally Advance is not as helpful nor as cost effective. So I go to Advance. That was the second time. And and so I get back, and then by this time he's like, well, did you go to Home Depot? Why in the fuck would I go to Home Depot for an automotive part? Well, they do have those type of things that you need for building a house and so on and so forth. I thought, well, okay, fine. So now I'm like, okay, now I'm a little more annoyed because now he's fussing at me, and I'm thinking I'm pretty rational at this point, and do generally have a step-by-step thing, right?
A wrench, my kingdom for a wrench.
So I go to Home Depot, and I'm a little annoyed while I'm going to Home Depot, just kind of thinking, you know what, motherfucker? If you fucking need something, when you send me a picture, you're going to now need to send me a fucking picture. Send me a fucking picture. Send me where the fuck it's supposed to come from. Then I'll fucking go get it. How about that? Because he's acting like Home Depot is the first fucking choice for everybody. And I'm going, huh?
Well, my thought process is the last thing you want to do is go to the auto places for every
auto parts.
For no, see people at home, America. I need y'all to school Tams here. We're talking about a wrench. We're talking about a socket wrench. Okay, people at home, educate Tams here, right? School Tams here. Okay, we talking about a wrench, a socket wrench. I can understand it if we're looking for a V8 engine, right? Yeah, you probably ain't gonna go to Home Depot. But a wrench, a socket wrench, right? A socket wrench. In my book, I might not know that much about tools, but I'm going, no, a socket wrench is universal. You don't have to just use it on an automobile. You can use it for stuff around the house as well. Lord knows in the past we've done stuff involving a wrench, a socket wrench. So I'm going like my thought process is why ain't you going to Home Depot, especially since it's going to save you more money? Because if you go to the auto guys for that same part, no, hang on.
Mhm.
My thought process is if you go to the AutoZone, auto shop, people, motherfuckers, you're gonna be paying 2-3 times more. And to the point, she's saying to me, she's giving me, I'll give her this. She's giving it right back to me because I'm in my Joe Pesci mode right now, motherfucker. I asked you for a fucking wrench, a socket wrench. You bring me this title, fucking, what the fuck wrong with you? And finally, I just go, right? She's giving it back to me. She's going, man, why would the fuck the Home Depot? Like, I pull out my phone. I'm like, dude. I'm just quiet. I'm pulling out my phone. I'm like, here, there you go. I'm like, look at that. Exactly what the lady had in the video. $9. Like, get your ass on. And so, she leaves all beat red. And I am laughing at this point, but I'm not letting her see it. I'm not letting her see it. I wait till she leaves, and then I just start having a hearty fucking laugh and everything. And I'm going, I wonder what she's gonna come back with now, right? Like, I wonder what's gonna happen now. You're like, because at this point, it's just gonna be, you know what, fuck it. Like, I'll go myself, right? So she comes back this final time. And she goes,
oh, wait, but it gets better.
Oh, whoa.
So I get to Home Depot and I'm like, where the hell is the automotive section? But okay. So I find the automotive section and I flag down an employee. He doesn't even work in the section because where I particularly need to be, it's all caged up. And I'm going, okay. So I flag him down. He opens the cage and I'm like, okay. So I see 7/16. I see all these other damn wrenches, every freaking one but the one I need. So I need an 8mm wrench. They have 0 in stock. I mean, a big old fat 0 in stock. So anyway, and I'm like,
now, are y'all following the story so far? The one fucking day. Think about this now. The one fucking day. I'm gonna say that one more time. The one fucking day out of the calendar year, we need a 8mm socket wrench. It's like the end of the world. And let me stress that. When I say 8 socket wrench, what I wanted initially, no. The little tiny little fucking thing that I had, which, I was, doing my thing, and then I lost the bitch. Right? But the one day we need an 8mm socket wrench. Not this day, bud. The one you talking about, the one you want, Lee? Yeah, not on this day. No.
But prior to that, the guy that was helping me at first, he's like, oh, well, that's not really my department, but the guy that you want is standing right there. I said, oh, okay. And I said, I need a something to put on a socket wrench to make it fit a smaller size socket. He brings me to the damn drill bits. I'm thinking, you work in this section?
Oh, you didn't tell me that. Oh, shit.
And I said, no. I said, what I need is over there. I said, and then I repeated it again in much more layman's terms. And he's like, oh, so we get over there. I said, okay, yes, this is what I need. I bought, look.
You sure he didn't say, I didn't know that. That's a Sanford and Son inside joke, by the way.
Right. So anyway, he pulls out this particular 3-set converter, the thing you put on the socket wrench to make fit any size. I'm like, oh, okay, that's universal. I hope,
Hmm.
because that's what he got. So I'm like, okay, I'll take this. I said, because my fucking luck today, I buy this one thing that looks like it'll be it. It won't be it. So, so I leave. I go. I purchase what I need. I leave, and so on and so forth. Get back to the house, and and the funny thing is, somebody actually texted me, and asked me how Lee was doing. At that point, there was a lot of things I could have told her. And was about to, and I thought, no, it's okay. I'll keep it at he's doing great.
Do I have the censor button? That's what she really wanted to say. This black that month, I'm gonna rip his head off.
Yes, that. So I get back to the house, and on my way to the house, because of the day that because of the last 3 hours that we've had, and by now, mind you guys, we started this at it was not yet sunset.
Yeah, we started.
It's now pitch black.
Yeah, we started at about 7:45.
Yeah, something.
It was about 7:45, and when all this was done,
it was almost 10 o'clock.
It was almost 9:45.
Yeah. So on the way home, I'm like, well, damn. I hope this thing is fucking universal. Because if this motherfucker doesn't fit, I'm just going to just be beside myself. Because, a connector versus a wrench, I mean, it should be, but you never know.
Look, my black ass was ready to, I'm telling you, I was ready to, it's funny, I keep going back to the Goodfellas reference because we watched it for like the zillionth time over the weekend, after a day after all of this. But at this point, I was ready to go up there myself and pull a Goodfellas. Hey, you motherfucker, come here. Come here. You the one that sold that part to her? Huh? The fuck is wrong with you? Like, I was ready to go.
But the funny thing is, while I was having all this time waiting, for help or what have you, while I was in the Home Depot, they had plenty of sets and so on and so forth as far as wrenches and what have you. The funny thing is, I was quite taken back by the fact that Home Depot is actually more expensive than Advanced.
Wow. Learn something new.
So
wait. Let's put an asterisk by it, because the picture I showed you, had they had it in stock, to their credit, had they had it in stock, it would have been only $9. Because remember, you said they did. Because you said they did not have.
Correct, but I was talking about, so basically going back into the story, guys, in reference to Lee saying, big hand, small part. That sounds terrible, but anyway, a small tool.
And I personally think I have fantastic hands. I see the media all the time. They make fun of me, but I think that I have great hands.
So
look at these hands. Look at these hands. Great hands. Great hands, people. Great hands. Gotta love the hands. Gotta love the hands.
So I got a socket set.
I love my hands.
For the fact that, okay, you don't want a wrench. I mean, there's no fucking easier way than getting something off in reference to having a tool over the whole thing and just, going to town, and there you go. So thus why I got the socket set. So in looking at the socket sets and so on and so forth, but the price, that's why I was saying it was actually more expensive at Home Depot to get that than going to an automotive place. So we get back, I've gotten the connector, it fits, and Lee's having a little bit of problem with getting the socket on the connector, and I'm like going, fuck me, really? And he's like, no. And I hear a click. I was like, oh, phew, thank you, Lord. And so we go ahead, we get finished, and he's trying to get that last screw off the not screw, basically the last nut off of the screw for to get it to get the side mirror out. So, and that breaks off. I don't care about the screw. I need the actual nut that goes onto the screw because I need it for the next one.
I want you to put the nut in my hands. Put the nut in my hands. Put your nut in my hands. It's great hands.
Oh, Lord. So we're trying to make sure that we essentially have the part
Boy, that's a great nut.
the part to put back on, and I'm trying to twist it because there's literally like a tenth of the screw. And I'm trying, so I got the first part. He's like, is it moving? I'm like, yes. So finally, I did the first half, and Lee did the second, and was able to retrieve that. So the rest of it was pretty smooth sailing.
Hey, keep in mind, I had an exam the next day.
Plus Rampage.
Rampage that night to report for the 401 Mania site. And then immediately go into study mode, try to get in some last minute study mode before my exam early Saturday morning with a plant science class. So that was just a really fun fucking experience overall.
Fun.
Yeah, I tell you, it should have been an episode
That's
of
like
Curb Your
the,
Enthusiasm. Title it Pass the Wrench. or not that wrench, the next one. There you go. Curb Your Enthusiasm, not that wrench, the next one. There you go.
So fast forward to today. And
this is where I'm gonna shut up a little bit because this is Tammy's own little story here. I couldn't believe this shit.
So fast forward to today. I'm, doing my thing around the house and, cleaning up, washing dishes, all that good stuff, right? So my mom comes in. She says, I was in my house coat. And she was like, so I guess you're going to be getting dressed. Huh? What are you talking about? And I was like, why? Do we have somebody coming over or something? And she's like, no. And then she says, again, I guess you're going to be getting dressed. Huh? So she says, yeah, your tire's flat. It's what? My tire's flat. Huh? She said, yeah. She said, I'd be surprised if it got 10 pounds of air in it. Wait a minute. Really? And she said, yeah. I said, okay. Well, and she said, so did you do anything different? I said, well, the only thing I can think of is Home Depot. Because, of course, you got all kinds of shit in the parking lot in there. So I thought, okay. So I go out, and sure enough, that thing is flat as a pancake. And I thought, well, damn. And so and I'm thinking to myself, before I leave, I'm like, what choices do I have? It's a fucking Sunday. Not that those two words should, go together, but I was like, limit. You have a limit in reference to what's open. I thought, okay. So I go and I look. One is a Tires Plus in our local area. I thought, okay, no, I already know about that one. They have shit customer service. And just overall, no.
King of ripping people off.
Yeah.
King of ripping people off.
So and so I look at the tire, and we have a air tire air system at the house. Actually, I bought it for Lee for Christmas, for his car, and it just happened to be in the house. I said, "Oh, great! I'll just use that because there's no way I'm driving on this tire without messing it up and essentially needing a new one." So I was like, "Okay." So I'm, putting the air in it, putting air in it, putting air in it. I'm like, "Okay." And my car tells me about everything. So I'm like, "Oh boy." So at first it didn't say anything. I'm like, "Okay, well, I think I'm okay for a little bit." So I drive literally maybe 3 minutes. And it basically says, "Put air in now." Okay, now I'm starting to freak out a little bit. I'm like, well, if I could just make it. And so I said to myself, because I wasn't necessarily sure about where the other one was. So I said, well, if I could just make it to this one, because I knew where that one was. And, see. So I drive to this Tire Plus with my 4-way flashers on, because I really was quite worried about what would happen. So I get there. I walk in. No, hello. How can I help you? No, can you give me a minute? Pure fucking silence.
Hmm.
So I stand there for a few minutes, or maybe 2 tops. I'm like, okay, well, he either is on the phone or eventually he's going to say something.
Mm.
So I wait. And right as I was getting ready to say, "Yeah, gonna help me?" It didn't come out, because he was like, "Oh yeah," it kind of motioning like, "How can I help you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've got a flat tire. And I need to get this tire changed."
Mm-hmm.
He says, and I quote, "Well, I can't do that for you today. I'm already backed up for the day. So no." Oh, no, I'm sorry. Before that, he says, "Oh, well, can you leave it here till tomorrow?" Huh? No. In that neighborhood too? Number one, no. And it's a fucking tire change. Like, even if I needed a new one, it takes all of 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm sitting there going, okay. So, but in my brain, I'm going, not to make my sex an issue, but damn, you have a woman who just came into your store who says, I have a flat tire. And your answer to me was, "Can you leave it and let me know?" Because I'm too busy.
I gotta admit that does sound pretty fucked up.
I'm like, so
especially when you don't know exactly how far that person has to go, potentially traveling wise. You don't know if that person is out of state. You don't, it'd be one thing. I would rather in that situation, a person says honestly, "Okay, look, I can get to your vehicle. I can squeeze you in. I normally at this point would turn people away. But if you don't mind waiting, because at this point you pretty much are going to be the very last vehicle that we would operate on."
Mind you guys, this is 2 hours before they close.
Right. If he were to maybe say something along those lines, then it's pretty much your choice. But then at the same time, here's the other thing I don't understand. You guys would have to help me out that have worked at these kind of places before, but if you have reached your max capacity as far as helping people with their vehicles for the day, then I don't know, why not just
say that up front?
If not that, why not just close your main doors and just keep answering the phones?
Well, you can't do that because you got people coming in and out to pick up their cars.
Why not have them be directed to maybe the side? I mean,
places don't do that.
That's very weird.
So,
okay.
But either way, mind you, it's 2 hours before they close. And you know what? Once I said, I have a flat tire, because it flopped my whole way here. To his to what he should have said to me. Before I finished with what I was going to say, he should have said, I'm so backed up right now. I wouldn't be able to get to it. Before I go through the whole story, or we have a wait. But either way, the consideration, because let me tell you something. Now, grant you, it's the same, but not the same. It's the same in reference to the customer service. If a patient came into my dental practice that I'm one of the managers of, okay, and said, hey, I have a problem, and it's 2 hours before we close, I am not turning that patient away. I'm not. So at least give me something to where I can manage it to whatever. Either way, none of that shit was done. So I'm starting to panic a little bit. And generally I don't, but I was like, okay. So there's another one that is not too much further away from this particular establishment. I call them and I say, hey, if I come to your establishment, would you be able to either replace my tire or fix it? And he said, yes, we can do that. I said, okay. He said, but first, make sure that you have as much air in that tire as humanly possible because you don't want to damage the tire. Okay. So I go and I then, go back to, all right, let me give, the tire a pump up. And I did. It still flopped all the way, to the next place. And it was a NTB in our area. And to be honest with you, just his tone and the way he was saying it calmed me down so that I wasn't freaking out all the way over there. So I still, took it easy and didn't speed by any stretch of the imagination. Had my 4-way flashers on, all that. Got there. He's like, okay, how can I help? I said, well, here's what's going on. The tire, is this, that, and the third. And he said, okay. He said, let's get it back. Take a look at it. And he said, you have a cool name. I said, oh, well, thank you. I don't think I've ever gotten that, but thank you. And so he said, we're starting to really like you around here. My mechanic just got out of your car just bobbing his head. Like, that was some good music. I was like, oh, well, thank you. I said, I appreciate it. And not only did they fix the tire at minimal cost to me, but they went above and beyond to fix 2 other issues that I had and didn't charge me for it. Now, they were minimal cost. Minimal. But still. Now, guess which one I'm going back to?
Wow.
Enough said.
Yeah. It's a running gag that we have on this show and have mentioned for years, which is good customer service. It's all about good customer service. If you get shit customer service, the odds that you're going to go back to that establishment is very, very slim. Like even if you were in a pinch, it's like, yeah, no, as long as there is another option. Fool me once, shame on you. But man, for me to get burned twice by the same establishment, rest assured, there ain't going to be a third time.
You got that
right? Okay, I should have listened to my better judgment. I should have listened to this friend. I should have listened to this spouse of mine. I should have listened to this family member. They warned me, but okay, now it's on me, right? Right, and now it's on me. There ain't gonna be no third attempt, right? It's just so interesting, right down to the point. As we segue, right down to the point, I was checking out a CNBC report earlier today. I was just going down the YouTube rabbit hole, and this links back to customer service and all that. And you guys remember Chili's? Remember Chili's? The restaurant chain. Remember them?
I
So
do.
I saw this CNBC report on YouTube. It's a new report. It just came out somewhere between now and maybe 2 months ago tops. Spoke about how Chili's financially is making a comeback. And you're going, well, wait a minute. Olive Garden and Red Lobster and all these other people, they're struggling here. What the hell is Applebee's doing right to finally start seeing profit? What's going on here? And when you get right down to the heart of the matter, the new CEO that they have on board that's been working with them as far as re-imaging, re-strategizing, and everything, the whole 9 yards, he's been with them now for about maybe 2+ years. It's been all about the basics, such as good customer service,
Yep.
simplifying the menu,
Mhm.
not getting so caught up in the apps, because at one point they had this exclusive deal with just DoorDash, and that actually ended up hindering them and all of that. And they made like 4 point something billion of revenue. So like when
Mhm.
you break it down as far as year to date
Mhm.
gain,
Right.
compared to last year, they basically saw an increase by like, I don't know, somewhere between 5 to 9%. Now you hear that 5 to 9%,
That's still.
some people may scoff at that, but that's actually pretty damn
Mhm.
good.
It is.
That's actually pretty damn good. Now,
Mhm.
obviously, compared to a massive chain like a McDonald's, which
Right.
had pulled in for its respected year, they pulled in like somewhere around over $420 billion. But remember, this is fast food, and you look at
Right.
the pacing,
Mhm.
McDonald's, like they've got to
Mhm.
pump out on whereas, whereas
Sit down
casual
chains.
dining,
Right.
like Chili's, it is a case where, okay, look, we've got these particular menus, like people need to sit down, they
Mhm.
want to enjoy these meals
Mhm.
and all. Now they were saying that casual dining as a whole. So when I say casual dining, y'all, think Olive Garden, think Chili's, think
Yeah.
Applebee's,
Think
think
sit down
right,
meals.
sit down meal places. They were saying overall that industry, uh compared to the previous year as a whole, it is still at a decline, steady,
Mhm.
but still at a decline
Mhm.
compared to the fast food industry.
Mhm.
But when you really scrutinize the numbers in the casual dining industry,
Mhm.
Chili's is continuing to see an increase. And
Mhm.
they said stuff like their 3 for $10.99 deal.
Which actually, we had seen a commercial
Yeah,
for it, and Lee was like, "Oh, where's there a Chili's?" And I think I remember saying wherever it was.
wherever it was. Yeah.
And I said, that wouldn't be a bad idea. And it's still something that we probably
Yeah.
in the near future plan
Yeah.
on doing.
Yeah, but besides their 3 for $10.99, there's this other meal that they have, and I didn't know about this, and I wish Chili's would promote this more.
Mhm.
But the thing that I saw that was like, oh, I didn't know you guys had that on your menu. They have like this. It's almost like a sample stacker meal. Basically, you get
Mm.
2 cheeseburger sliders. Looks like you get a handful of boneless wings,
Mm.
boneless bite wings. Almost kind of looks like General Tso's chicken. You also get these really big squared mozzarella sticks.
Mm.
And apparently a lot of social media influencers was ranting and
Raven?
raving over it.
Oh.
So you know what? I did say Chili's, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah.
Well, you
So
said Applebee's, but it's Chili's.
it's Chili's.
Yeah.
It's Chili's that I'm talking about. So yeah, I'm looking at that and I'm like, but at the heart of the matter, make sure everybody doesn't lose focus. At the heart of the matter, at the core,
Mhm.
the good customer service.
Yes.
That's what it's all about. The good customer service. That goes a long, long way. And unfortunately, we are in
A society where that is not damn near non-existent.
look, linking it back to the whole fun story about the whole car situation. I was thinking about this to myself the other day, and I'm sure a lot of our older listeners out there that's around our age, if not older, can relate to this. But I remember a time where you could park your car across the street from your home or 4, 5, 10 blocks away from your home, and you didn't have to worry about, is my car going to be okay when I get ready to go to it the next day for work or whatever the hell you're getting ready to do. You didn't have to worry about that. The kids that would be playing baseball, touch football, whatever in the neighborhood, very, very seldom would a car get messed up by their playing on the streets. And if it did happen, there used to be a time where all the kids in the neighborhood, they knew one another, so they knew where each other lived. And usually the right thing would be done, where that kid that maybe messed up that car would let that adult know, and something would be worked out. The kid would maybe do some yard work or whatever after school, pay it forward, something along those lines. But you didn't have to worry about vandalism and all that other crap that was going on. uh we're in a day and age right now where a lot of the people that's running around have not been bestowed, that they don't have instilled in them by their parents, hey, look, this is how you
Respect of property,
right,
respect
respect
for
of
the
property,
individual.
respect for the individual, respect for that person's time.
Yep.
Right. There is a big lack of that. It's not
Absolutely.
everybody. I want to make sure, because I know we got younger listeners out there. I know it's not everybody, but for those quite a few bad apples that's out there, they put the overall upcoming generation, the current generation and the upcoming generation, give them a really bad fucking rep. And that's not fair to the ones that's actually doing it right. Because I've actually come across, really good young folks, definitely since I've returned to college, these past couple of years, I've come across really good kids that mean well. They are about it. They're ready to learn. They're trying to better themselves. They ain't bullshitting around. They'll have their fun and games when, but they about getting that education on. They trying to get some money. They trying to right. They trying to get paid. They on a mission. They on a mission. But it just goes back to everything that we've been talking about on this show for years and years and years now. Speaking of education, on a fun note, your man apparently made the dean's list. I could not believe it when I had saw this. So I was opening up my email, my class email, the other day. I think this might have been around Wednesday or Thursday. This happened. Feels like more like it was Thursday, but Thursday. Okay. So I'm checking my email, and I heard back. Apparently, for the lab tech position, they're going with a different candidate. I'm like, well, I already know what's going on. Y'all ain't got the hours anyway, so it's like, and I'm glad I said what I said up front, because the last thing I want to do is be offered the position,
Right.
and then I can't do the day and times. Right. So ignore that. But that was one of the emails that I had ended up seeing. I was like, yeah, whatever. But then I see something in my junk folder. I'm like, oh, and occasionally I check my junk folder, because sometimes I have people that'll slip through the cracks and everything.
Right.
So I check him. I'm checking. Like, I go in there like, oh, what's this? I was like, congratulations. I'm like, what is this exactly? And I open it up. And I'm like, hey, congratulations. You made it to the dean's list. I'm like, wait, what? Huh? Like this is a joke, right? And I'm continuing to scrutinize it, and I'm like, is this legit? Like, this doesn't seem like, because they're telling me something along the lines of, look out for the official. What was the terminology? What was the terminology they use?
Look out for the official letter.
I think it was something beyond that, though. I think it was like, look out for the official recognition, not the letter, but like the official recognition or whatever. I guess when they get ready to do the ceremony or whatever, like they're gonna announce it. I'm like, whatever, right? I show it to Tams, and she's like, oh, congratulations. I'm like, yeah, hey, this is cool, but there's a part of me that's going, I guess, like, this doesn't seem like legit. It's kind of hard for me to, but I guess that's good, right? And then literally yesterday, I get the official letter from the college saying I made the dean's list. And I'm going, oh shit, this is real. And that's when, I got to tell you, it feels good. It feels good. To have my work be recognized. It feels good. It feels good. My mother and father, they dropped out of high school, and they dropped out of high school basically because I was conceived. So, they did what they needed to do, obviously during those respective times. Especially when you're growing up in the ghetto and all that, like, in the 80s too, Chicago, height of the crack epidemic and all that. Like, I'm surprised they were able to make it through that decade in the 90s. Okay. Quite honestly. But, they dropped out. Far as I know, I don't care about him, but far as I know, my father never went back to resume his degree. My mother, as far as I know, I believe she eventually went back and she got her GED. But as far as continuing on the education, so to my knowledge, I am,
Your family.
out of my family, to my knowledge, I am the one that not just surpassed where they stopped, but okay, now I'm taking it further.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, my message to young folks out there is
Never too
staying.
late.
No, I have two
Oh,
messages.
okay.
For the young folks, particularly, it is stay in school.
Yes.
Hit the books, get that education. Do not, do not. I'm I can respect those that want to take a year off, but my whole thing is I don't think you should wait that long, because the longer that you're out of it, that is how life can pass you by extremely fast. And then the next thing you know, you're like, wait, how can I put myself in a position where I can do what I need to do education wise. So my whole thing is, if you're going to take some time off, maybe take the summer off or something like that, or at least put yourself in a position where, okay, I'm going to try to enroll in this college institution, but let me try to see if I can join them. Okay, what is this? This is fourth quarter 2024. Let me see if I can enroll and start in summer of 2025. I want you guys to at least kind of think ahead like that. That way you've got the time that you need to do what you need to do, have your fun, do your soul searching, all that. And then for my older people out there, to touch upon exactly what Tam said, yes, it's never too late. I mean, seriously, there's no timetable on wanting to better yourself.
Nope.
There's no timetable on that. So, go ahead.
I want to actually put in a couple of 2 cents on that. Not in a bad way, but to echo the sentiment. I was one of those people who said, I'm going to take a year off. I'm just kind of done with the school thing. I just want a break. I just want to go out and start my journey, my life. And that's what I said. Year came and went. I did nothing. I touched nothing. It was like work, and that was that. Now, in hindsight, do I regret that? Yes, I do. I wish I would not have taken that year off, and actually started pursuing. Now, grant you, yes, did I do vocational things after that? I did. But there's nothing like pursuing, like, Lee's saying, better yourself. There's nothing like education at any age. The funny thing is, I think there's, for some people, there's a stigmatism, or it's not a stigmatism. Lord have mercy, a stigma on higher learning, where I'm too old, or maybe I don't know enough, well, maybe I won't pass this, or just whatever. It's in your own head, really, because anything can be achieved if you believe it can be. But I had those stigmas on some level, and now grant you I'm where I am, sure, and grant you, yes, I did do a lot of vocational stuff, but if I had it to do over again, I wouldn't have taken the year off. I would have went right into it, because that would have put me in a better position for years to come.
I don't know how it is with the past two upcoming generations, right? Because we were what were we? We were Generation X, right? Because what are they on now? Z.
Z.
Yeah, we were X, and then what? Y and Z came.
Yeah,
Y and
X.
Z. Yeah, we're X. So I would imagine Y and Z. Wonder what's the next generation after Z is called. Wonder what happens there. That's kind
We
of.
will have to find out.
I'm kind of interested. I would like to think the terminology is already there, right? I'm just curious.
They're gonna maybe it's gonna be A1.
Something.
I don't know,
but no, like because I'm curious. Like, is it easier? Is it easier for Gen Y, kind of Z to a certain degree? Z's still a little young, but I'm Z should be what, in their 20s?
Yeah,
early 20s.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering how difficult, if at all, the transition has been for those generations that took time off and then tried to get back in it. I'm very curious. And then I'm also curious from a number standpoint, because I like numbers, I like stats. I'm curious to know the percentage of those that went back to resume their education compared to those from Gen Z. I'm very, very curious. That the dropout rates, like I'm very, very curious about all that.
I feel like right around our generation, there was a lot of people. Well, let me not say to speak for.
Well, I can speak for myself. There was definitely within my inner circle a lot of people that in my circle that ended up not continuing their education.
I think for in my school and in my scope, I think for me it was probably 50-50. But now it feels like that barometer is a lot higher for going back.
You know what was more surprising for me and those that I grew up, and I don't know if anybody has a similar story like mine. Not really a story, but just wow, who would have thunk it, right? But to see the people that I went to junior high, high school, and even college with, and I'm looking at certain people going, yo, I'm gonna see that motherfucker. Their work's gonna be at a museum. Yo, this motherfucker right here, they're gonna be doing some music videos for sure. They're gonna be working for a production company for sure. Oh, this motherfucker, talented. Oh, yeah, they're definitely gonna be working for a newspaper for sure. And then to see, wow, what happened? All that great talent that was bestowed upon you. What happened? That's like, and they're no longer tapping into that gift. Like there's one girl that I think about all the time, and I've kept tabs on her off and on over the years. I never message her or anything like that, but I like to keep tabs. She was a very talented artist, made the newspaper quite a few times. Artwork was showcased in exhibits, had a mother that was not only very strict, but was using her personal influences, because she was, I mean, you want to talk about Power, the TV series. She was influential to the point like she knew all the right people, like even politicians and shit. And so you just expected, hands down, her daughter was definitely
There.
and last I heard, she basically was collecting welfare. Deadbeat husband was cheating on him, as a matter of fact. Got like 5 kids or whatever. And it's just like, whoa, dude. And then the other thing that's, I'll give you another one person that used to live around my neighborhood. This was just really a fuck me. Somebody that used to live around my neighborhood when I first came to DC back in the early 90s. His name was Herb. Herbert for short. Herb had a sister and a mother. And the mother, sadly, health wise, not good. She was extremely obese, uh, always in the bed. I mean, this woman weighed like, and I'm not exaggerating, y'all. This woman weighed at least 600 pounds. 600 pounds. Okay.
Mm.
So yeah, I'll let you, you've seen enough of them TLC
Right.
shows. You
Yep.
you know that visual.
No, yeah.
So she relied on her to pretty much do
Everything.
any and everything, make the
Mhm.
meals, help her to and from the bathroom, wash her down, all that stuff. Herb had a pretty good living situation. I thought, like, look, um, yeah, you're living in the ghetto and, yeah, it's a little bit tough, but you know what? You stick to your education. That's definitely your ticket out of the financial situation you're in. That's definitely your ticket out of the ghetto. Nobody said you had to forget about the friends that you made in the ghetto and all that, but you shouldn't be settling either, right? And Herb would always skip school. Herb just wanted to walk the streets, not even really play video games. He just wanted to walk the streets. He was a weird dude. He was a weird dude. Didn't play basketball, didn't, wasn't in any sports. He did not. Now, what happened to Herb? I think you guys know very well what happened to Herb, but let me paint a picture for you. So after I moved out of that neighborhood, I go on, I do my thing, like pretty much fast forward. Let's say around 2005, 2006. 2005, 2006. I'm running some errands. I'm in the neighborhood. Not that neighborhood, but I'm in DC. Matter of fact, I'm down U Street. Shout out to my people around U Street. I'm around U Street Northwest. I'm in my mid 20s at this point. Excuse me, sir. Can you spare some change? Like, nah, brother. I'm sorry. I ain't got no change. Nothing? Like, nah, nothing. Wish I could help, but I don't. And last second, I lock eyes. It's Herb. Herb does not recognize me at all. Because at this point, I'm pushing a bald head. I was working out back then, so I had quite a significant bulk on me. I look totally different than what he might have remembered of me from the 90s. Because I mean, that's a transition to go from, basically 92 going into 93, and then you fast forward to 2005, 2006. Person can change quite a bit, right? Especially if, oh, hey, this guy used to have an afro. He was extremely skinny. He had really bad acne on his face. He had pimples, the whole 9 yards, freckles, And this guy was standing there, homeless sign, um, looked like he'd been wearing the same clothes for about 20 years.
Mm.
barely, his shoes were barely, holding together.
Wow.
And I wanted to say to him so bad, dude, you don't recognize me, huh? But I just quietly kept it moving along, and I said two things to myself, actually three. I said, wow, I can't believe that was Herb. Two, I said, aren't you glad you didn't hang out with him on a regular basis?
Right.
Because look where you might have ended up, right? And then three, I said to myself, continue to stay on whatever course you're on. And
Mm-hmm.
even way back then, I kind of said, yeah, don't end up like that. So now look, some people can pull a Bill Gates, some people can pull a Eminem, some people can pull they are some lucky motherfuckers, but most people, realistic, this is real talk, most people ain't gonna have that kind of luck. Most people are gonna
Mhm.
end up like Herb.
Well,
If you
my
if you
two
drop
cent-
your if you drop your education, yeah.
true.
If you don't, because without
True.
without an education, like you can't expect,
That's true.
you know what I'm saying?
That
And now that I
and
think about it in retrospect, Herb could barely count.
oof. In my 2 cents from this, it really is. There's one word to explain what was just said. Choices. In life, we all have two roads. We all have choices. We all have a path that we can be on, whether it be the one that we're supposed to be on or the one that we choose for ourselves.
Agreed. No, you ain't gonna, I'm with you 100%. So food to think about. Not to go too deep there, but
Mhm.
I really hope this hits certain buttons.
Yeah,
I really, really hope it does. And look, look, real talk. Then we'll definitely move on. 'Cause we definitely got some more lighter stuff and all that. But it's interesting. I'm reminded, since I've been back at college, I've been reminded of, oh man, like I don't want to be the oldest, but now I embrace it because I'm in a unique position where I'm able to help shape the minds
Mhm.
of this next generation and beyond with what I've learned so far.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And it's not me giving them a sermon, but it's just me. It's interesting. They gravitate towards me
Mhm.
and I gravitate towards them. I gravitate towards them because they're young. I feed off of their energy. I
Mhm.
feed off of their creativity.
Mhm.
They are keeping me fresh
Mhm. Mhm.
on what's going on in this world around me.
Right.
And I'm giving to them, okay, here's
Knowledge, wisdom.
knowledge, experience,
Mhm.
you know, the truth.
Yes.
Because so many people are going to tell them what they want to hear,
Right.
but I'm going to tell them what they need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
So it's interesting. It's interesting how it works. So I've embraced it. It's almost like I'm that sixth man from the basketball team. That's that veteran that's been there for
Yeah. Yep.
20 years, and I'm coming off the bench and I'm trying to school whoever just got recruited from the
Right.
draft, or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the role that I look at and all that. So I embrace it now. But what is so empowering and uplifting is when I see people that's either around my age or older.
Mhm.
Like right now in one of my science classes, we meet up every Saturday. In one of my science classes, there's this lady telling Sam's about this. I said, besides the professor, it's like, I thought I was going to be the second oldest. I'm like, no, I'm actually the third oldest because there's a woman that is in her late 60s, maybe about to hit 70, that's taking the class right along with us.
Mhm.
And she is sharp as I don't know what. I like conversing with her. She's a little nerdy, but then again, we're all nerds. to a certain degree, right? Especially with what we're learning, we're all nerds at our core. There's different levels of it, you know. But like, man, if I can see somebody that's damn near 70 years old that's going out there willing to put in the work, it's like, what's your excuse? Right?
Yep.
So food for thought. Speaking of 70, rest in power, Tito Jackson. What a terrible month as far as September goes. I mean, when you just think about all the shit that's going on with black people, right? And P Diddy, fuck you. Like literally, like just fuck you, dog. Like seriously.
Yeah.
Like this is what's crazy. Let me touch upon Tito Jackson though. Tito Jackson, the guitar player, the founder per se of the Jackson 5, right? I mean, it's really kind of neck to neck because Joe Jackson was the one that, because of his shortcomings as a musician, trying to be a sensation, trying to be a powerhouse and all of that, he decided, okay, well, you know what, my kids, it's going to be them. I'm going to teach them. I'm going to do this, all this other stuff. And Tito was kind of the one that really kind of tried to have the group, go in that right direction. He pretty much was Joe Jackson, but much nicer, right? That's the best way to really sum it up. Okay. But Tito Jackson of the Jackson 5, he lost his life earlier this week at the age of 70. And from what I was able to research as far as his passing goes and everything, in a nutshell, he was working with either his agent or his manager in the transport of some vehicles to his new home. He was trying to, new garage and all that. So he was, working on transporting the vehicles and all that. And in between, it turns out he was also working with his surviving brothers for a new Jackson's album.
Oh, wow.
And if you all are keeping track at home that know all things music and everything, this would have been the first follow-up to 1989's 2300 Jackson Street album. So you're going, wait, what? Right? And apparently there are still plans to put this album out. Yeah, they were very well, like from what I was able to gather, they did lay down some new tracks.
Okay.
They laid down some new stuff, and pretty much whether or not Tito 100%, the one thing that was outlined is Tito, his presence is felt all throughout the album. So you're like, okay, all right. So now the way that the brothers are going to be structuring this album is going to be in dedication to Michael and Tito. They're also, before Tito passed, they were working together to try to pitch some type of a reality show that basically would act as a companion piece to that eventual release, basically a reintroduction for the Jacksons. So there was definitely some interesting strategy that was
going on.
Yeah, and it seems
you also
like
have Tito's son.
Yes,
who is
he was doing some stuff.
Yes, for an upcoming 2025 release.
So from what I understand, Tito complained of chest pains. And by the time they got a hold of medical personnel, take him to the hospital, that pretty much was it.
I had heard just rumblings that it could have been a heart attack. But I didn't hear any more than that and didn't really research it. But sorry to hear that.
Yeah. I know a lot of people mainly talk about Jermaine, Michael, and Tito sadly gets either
the butt end of the jokes because most black films, when they mention a Jackson that isn't Michael, they mention Tito as like, the black sheep of the family kind of thing, like, oh yeah, oh, who are you, Tito Jackson kind of thing. But other than that, because to be honest with you,
or a better analogy, you go on Amazon and you order Michael Jackson, but instead you get Tito Jackson from the
Timu.
Timu. Yeah.
That's pretty funny. Um, that is actually pretty funny. So, but for me, I mean, I knew he was a part of the Jackson 5, but for me, it was like, who? And I mean, I've seen on and off pictures of, obviously his sons, that, and of course, some interviews and things of that nature that have just happened within the last 5 to 7 years. But, I'm sorry to hear that. That's a hard thing when you lose any family member.
It is. It is. I hope that whatever is going on with this new Jackson album, what I personally would love to see happen, I would love to see Latoya and Janet Jackson. I would love to see them somehow come together and
That would be nice.
right down to the point. I don't know if Quincy Jones is still up for the task or if he's pretty much like, no, I've passed the baton.
Right.
I'm over and done with, but I would love it if Quincy could somehow get involved. And if Quincy can't get involved, then my recommendation for producers for this album, because I know everything is still like kind of, a work in progress right now. But as far as producers go, I would love it if Terry Lewis and Jimmy Jam
and Terry Lewis.
I would love it if them and Babyface could be the ones that could go in and really give this album the justice and all that. I would love to see them. That'd be my nod for producers.
That would actually be kind of cool. That would be a really cool idea if they could go ahead and
incorporate
make
all
that and
yeah.
incorporate the two sisters that have been in the media, but in the business just as well as their brothers.
Think fast, and everybody else can chime in on this as well. Favorite Jackson 5 song or Jackson song?
Dancing Machine.
That's a that's a good one. That's a good one. Give me a second one. Give me a second one.
I have no idea. To be honest with you, that was the only thing that comes to mind because I only listened to them for like a hot minute, and then when Michael, because I was young when Michael went into his solo career. What is it? Just not just the two of us, but I'd actually have to look at the discography to give you a second. Because Michael, for me, when I was younger, that's pretty much who I listened to.
My number one from the Jacksons, it was a really Torture. I thought they were really at their peak creatively when they released Torture. The music video for that was like years ahead of its time. And remember, when they did the music video, Michael was not available at that time. So they used the fucking wax figure to represent him. And it's like clear as fucking day. You could tell that it was a damn
wax figure.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
And then All I Do Is Think of You.
That's a good one.
Troop did a really good remake of that, but actually flip it. All I Do Is Think of You. That's my number one. My number two is Torture. The music video for Torture alone, I remember as a kid growing up, I remember watching the premiere of that music video. I can't remember the circumstance, but I remember they made like a big deal out of the premiere of that video. That video gave me nightmares for weeks. It was scary. I thought it was scary because it was all about this woman that was trying to lure, I guess, one of the main Jacksons or all of them, and she like would set up these weird booby traps for them. And then it turns out she was like this monster. And I just remember there was chains, whips, metal mask. I mean, now when I go back and I look at it, I go, man, this was like some freaky S&M horror kind of, far out there, but back then it was like, this is scary as fuck. So
I wasn't, well, that was probably their answer to their brother's Thriller.
You know what? You might be on to something.
Because for me, I didn't like watching Thriller in video form.
Mhm.
Majority of the time, I turned it off
Mhm.
because I'm not a big, you know. For me at that point, I was not a big horror
You're on to something, because remember, Michael Jackson's Thriller album came out in 1982, and that Torture Song, an album that came out in 84. And remember, Michael wasn't available during that time period because he was on the world tour supporting that album, because it was blowing up and all that. Yeah. So I think you're on to something. Speaking of music, I want to get your reactions to this new trailer. I have not watched it yet, so we all are going to be experiencing this in real time. For those of you that might be interested in watching this trailer along with us, I'm going to post a link in the chat, but there is a new trailer for a Luther Vandross documentary, and it is titled Never Too Much. That is the name of it. And as many of you all know, soul and R&B singer Luther Vandross, we've been without him now for almost actually no 20 years. 20 years now.
Right.
Yeah, because he died July 1st of 2005. So it's been 20 years now. That it's time flies.
Well, yeah.
Time flies.
Yeah.
That is really hard to believe. Like over 20 years now. That actually no,
not quite.
It's
20.
gonna be 20 years as of next year.
Yeah,
I apologize. It's gonna be 20 years.
It's almost there.
It's almost there. Time flies, because it feels like, if anything, we lost him maybe almost 10 years ago. That's how it kind of feels. It's really hard to believe. Wow, it's, at least for me, like, wow, it's actually been 20 years. It's essentially been 20 years. Like, that's just but he lost his life, I mean, for the longest time.
Well, the funny thing
diabetes.
Yeah, complications,
the weight issues.
For me, in reference to, I was actually watching a snippet of something that we're getting ready to do probably next weekend, which is do the documentary that just came out for the Christopher Reeves.
Yes, I'm so excited for that. Superman, the Christopher Reeves story.
Right.
Yeah.
So all of his kids were essentially on The View, promoting and talking about it.
Oh, nice.
And they said that they really had no thought of doing anything like that, but they were approached and stating, hey, what would you think? And do you have, footage, home movies, stuff like that. And they said they really liked the producers and the directors. They trusted them. And we're hopeful that they will come out with a good product. And it has exceeded their expectations.
Okay. I hate that this documentary is only available in theaters for just 2 respected weekends.
Yeah.
So for those of you that missed it, it was released yesterday, and then the next opportunity to see it in theaters will be next Saturday. So if you don't get a chance to check it out, I would imagine
they're going to release it to
a
stream, some stream like Prime or
right.
I mean, we're not saying that's where it's going to happen. We're just assuming.
Right. It's safe to assume. Yeah, definitely. So, but I'm looking forward to seeing it next weekend. So that should be pretty good. But I have it loaded up now. I just posted the link for the Luther Vandross Never Too Much trailer. So we're going to experience this in real time. Like I said, I have not seen this trailer yet. All right. And hopefully I don't have to go through commercials, but I feel I probably will. I thought so. There's the trailers. Let's mute that. I don't want to see no damn. So this trailer, guys, is 1:51. Really got to look into Prime, YouTube, Red, or whatever it's called. Take out these commercials. Let's try to volume at about right there.
See you in films. Mm. I like it. Wow. Mm.
Oh,
Oh, let me tell you, he has. Nice.
wee, ooh wee, that looked good.
Yeah, that looks very nice.
Wow.
I will tell you that I've only seen Luther in person, concert wise, once. And what you saw in that snippet of a clip where he was like, well, yeah, it bothers me now that you're asking me. That's him. In that era, that is him.
Mhm.
And that is the sassy confidence that he exuded when I saw him in person.
Mm.
And it was like, I know I'm that person. You're not going to tell me I'm not that person. And I challenge you to even think about telling me I'm that person.
Mm.
Because he had his backup singers on lock. And don't say it,
Mhm.
or I will check you. And he flat out told one of the backup singers that don't do that to me right now. I will check you out here right now.
Yeah. Well, shit. Look no further than what he did to In Vogue back in the day. For those of you that don't know, In Vogue, one of the most popular female R&B
R&B.
groups. I mean, when
At
you
that point, yes.
picture this, especially if you know your old school music well, but you don't really know that much about In Vogue for those again not familiar. Think about the Supremes and the Pointer Sisters and just go, okay, if we can take both of these and turn
Yeah.
it into a really poppy, urban, modern day super female group with class and elegance. But man, they're sexy, not too sexy, but they are definitely hit turning,
Yes.
and they can sing their asses off.
Mhm.
They can hit you with the swag, or if they want to take you to church, they can do that. They can just touch all them buttons. You
Mhm.
get In Vogue. In Vogue
Yes.
back in the day, I think this was right around the time when their second album dropped. Yes, when their second album dropped, they went on tour with Luther. And they were making a big deal out of it. They were doing the media rounds, all that good stuff. And they basically, In Vogue, they got 3 strikes with Luther. The first strike, they were supposed to make an appearance. I don't know if it was supposed to be on the Arsenio Hall show, but there was a media obligation that they were supposed to do to basically promote the joint tour.
Mhm.
They didn't do it. That was strike 1 in Luther's book. Strike 2, oh God, I'm trying to think what was part 2. Maybe somebody can jog my memory that is familiar with the story. I can't remember strike 2, but it was something that was that's that's a big no. Yeah, definitely don't want to do that. Actually, yes, it's coming back to me now. Strike 2 was Luther performed on this particular tour a certain way in regards to his stage design.
Mhm.
And the way Luther played, he wanted to be performing, in front, and the way the stage was designed, it was like, yeah. And then when In Vogue would come out, sadly, and In Vogue had got a lot of bad reviews for their shows because it wasn't so much about the performance. The performances was on point. What it was, Luther had it set up in a way where, okay, in Vogue, you're gonna perform this way. You're gonna perform over here on the stage, and you're gonna placate over here because I'm the star. I
Mhm.
get all of this real estate. This is
Yes.
me.
Yes.
And In Vogue did not like that. So one night they just said, okay, you know what? Bump this. Like, we're gonna perform over here. We're gonna, and that was basically strike two.
Mm.
Strike three came where Luther, I mean, he had all these goddamn things in the contract. And I hope they talk about this in the documentary because I would love to hear Don Robinson and the rest of them from In Vogue talk about this. But the third strike came where another thing, another nuance in the contract. Hey, you girls, so as long as y'all are on tour with me, you can't wear this color, you can't wear that color, you can't wear this color, you can't wear that, and you got to dress like this because that's gonna steal from me and my crew. And so they were dressed so goddamn homely. They looked like they were wearing some stuff that they bought off the racks from Kmart or whatever. I mean, look, it was a nice little casual look if you're going out on a date, or seeing a movie, but it's like they looked so homey down. It was like, nah, man, this goes against that vision that was portrayed of In Vogue early on. Sophistication, sexiness, class, elegance, and all of that. That one night In Vogue just said, okay, fuck this. We're going to wear what we want to wear, do what we do best. And that was strike three. In Vogue got fired by Luther. He was like, I don't give a fuck how popular y'all are. Hit the road.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So to your point.
Yes. Yes.
To your point, Luther did not play around. You get on Luther's bad side. That was it. This is apparently directed and put together by filmmaker Dawn Porter, who has won many awards for her work that included covering Bobby Kennedy, Vernon Jordan, John Lewis, and she's been a frequent collaborator with Oprah and Prince Harry. So,
well, Oprah had nothing but love for Luther, so you can imagine she's on there.
Yeah, definitely. This looks really good. This looks really good. I can't wait to see it. So I do have additional information for those of you that are curious and you want to know, like, yeah, what's going on with this? It looks like this is going to be in select cities beginning November 1st. Meanwhile, ahead of that, there will be a nationwide preview screening on October 30th. So I would love to try to see if I can somehow get a preview screening, because I would love to go to like a media screening event. I would love to take part in that and give my first impressions and all that. So yeah, that looks good. Can't wait to see that. Yeah, I know we're definitely gonna go see that.
Yeah, it's so funny. Lee and I have very different musical tastes, but there are some artists that we can come together on.
Yeah.
And Luther was always one of them.
Yeah. He continues to be one of them for sure. So, having a hearty laugh. Did you guys see the viral video? And we only are talking about this because it's right here in our neck of the woods of Washington, D.C. and all that. Did you guys see the viral video of the restaurant owner from a little joint called Canna Coffee that berated the hell out of a DoorDash employee? So if you're not familiar with that, yeah. So there's this place called Canna Coffee around Florida Avenue, Northwest DC. Okay. And anybody that knows the history of Florida Avenue, I'm telling you, in the early 90s, a lot of liquor stores, a lot of abandoned property, demolished property, ruins, vacant lots, not really much going on in those parts, right? And obviously the makeover that's happened through the years, certain administrations, DC government, mayors, all that, right? Neighborhood, it's, it still got its ghetto, still got its ghetto-ness to it, right? But what happened at this establishment takes it to a whole new other level. You are definitely encouraged to go check out the video. So long story short, you have this Door Dasher. Only thing he is guilty of is going to an establishment to pick up the customer's order. Anybody that has done that type of gig economy work, I know I definitely dip into it. Hell, I'm dipping into it right now. That's one of the many hats that I'm wearing um, besides working with clients for audio projects, video projects, things of that nature. I like being my own boss, especially right now with the loaded up college semester that I have. It's nice having the flexibility to plug in gig work like that whenever, wherever. So this kid, young kid, goes in there. This kid looks like he's probably he looks like he's probably 23, 24. He might be younger than that, much younger than that. He can't speak English. He can't help it. But he's trying to let these people know, hey, I'm here for this order. And the owner, I did not notice at the time, but it was the actual owner of Canna Coffee that is seen in the video. That is on this xenophobic tirade, this epic tirade, telling this guy, hey, you're trying to get American dollars in your pocket. I'm paraphrasing here, but it's pretty close to what he was saying. You're trying to get American dollars. You need to learn the American language. Learn our fucking language. And he just throws the customer's food, to this guy's chest. And my man is recording this the whole time, but the owner does not give a fuck. You think that the whole tirade is going to end right there as the guy walks out, and the fucking owner follows this kid outside. And I'm like, damn, is he getting ready to hit this dude? Like, what the hell's going on here? And it was just a viral sensation overnight because so many people were going, this is surely fake, right? You're ribbing, right? This is just a little comedy skit. It's like, no, this is fucking real. This is real. And it turns out this owner has had a bad history with other people leading up to this. First of all, he got told by DC officials, code and the code violation people and all that. He got told by them, hey, you got to shut down because we received numerous complaints. We've noticed this. Da, 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 da. You need to shut down. They ignored it. They tried to keep on operating. Leading up to this, there was a merchant that had said, hey, I had went there one time. He was interviewed. This is very new. There was this one guy. There was some type of stove equipment or whatever that needed to be delivered to them. So this guy had came, he delivered it. And then for whatever respected reason, the Canna Coffee owner would not let this guy out of the establishment. And he's like, dude, what the fuck? He's like, I've done my job. I've done what I needed to do. Why are you continuing to kind of hold me hostage here? It's time for me to go. Like, I got to move on and everything. But he just continued to keep him there. He ended up calling the police.
Damn.
Yeah, it was like really, really weird. So, there were also reports that they were selling marijuana without a license and other stuff. So like they have constantly been in violation of so many that you're like, what the fuck? That ultimately, after this report, DC, I guess a councilman or whatever, they really stepped in and like, look, we got to hammer this home. Like, nah, like, no. So as we speak, they are shut down. But what was so funny is me and Tams were watching this report. one of the reporters, I can't think of her name right now, but it was somebody through the Fox 5, WTTG Fox 5 out here in DC. She tried to get an interview with the owner, and they declined. And then they sent this weird text message: "United we stand, divided we fall." What the fuck is that supposed to mean? Like, where is your, hey, we're really sorry that, whatever you want to call it? Like, where is there isn't. NBC, WRC TV, NBC 4 in DC. They had a reporter that tried to reach out and everything. Matter of fact, they're like, "Oh no, we're closed." They're like, "Well, is it okay if we could maybe put in an order?" Order is for family and close friends only. And they're like, "But you were shut down. You were told you need to shut down. So how you gonna say you're not open, but then you're gonna be like you're only open for friends and family?" That's not how this works. When a motherfucker shuts you down, you are shut down. Heaven be damned if you're selling to your mama or your best friend of 20 years. You can't have that place open at all. So this guy is very very weird. He seems off
So with
his
the other
meds.
part of that, yes. So with the other part of that, in reference to, they were actually supposed to be shut down in May.
Correct.
And they essentially, from the report that I was getting, I'm sorry, in the report that they were stating, that they had lied and said they were shut down.
Right.
And then, of course, obviously, when it came to light, that the video went viral and all of this by the fact.
Well, hang on. So what you just said, and then they got warned again in September. Basically, it was on top of what you just said in May. September, it was, "Hey, we know you guys are still, you need to shut down." And it was like, business as usual. And now, to Tammy's point, they are now officially shut down. It's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy. I cannot, first of all, speaking as somebody that's done that type of gig work, let me tell you something. I don't give a fuck how bad of a day you're having. Customer is cursing you out, treating you funky, that really sucks. Something's going on at home, you got into an argument with your significant other, like, hey, that sucks. Sorry to hear that. But no matter what is going on, the last thing that should be happening is taking out all of those irritations, those nuances, those frustrations out on somebody such as a food delivery person who is only guilty of trying to put two things here. It's like there's so many things that's going on here. Like, this is so multi-layered. Really think about this. This kid is only guilty of trying to put money in his pocket, and by doing that, he decided to take on that type of work. He is risking his health. He is risking his safety. He is putting at risk his personal vehicle, no matter what it is, scooter, bicycle, you name it. He is putting all of that at risk to be able to go to these random establishments, pick up food for people who, you name it, whether at the end of the day that person is just being lazy, they don't want to go out even though their vehicle is parked right out front of their home, they don't want to be bothered going out, or it's a person that has a disability so they can't really, or hey, it's a person that doesn't have a vehicle and public transportation is too far or it's not operational at that time that they're ordering. No matter the circumstances, that dasher, that gig driver, not only are they trying to put money in their pocket, take care of themselves, take care of their family, they are providing a service, not just on behalf of that gig company, but they're also providing their services to that particular establishment that needs it. Babies, my pretty babies out there. At the end of the day, these are your allies. These are your friends. So if you are a proprietor, like the last thing you should be doing is shitting on these people. They're your greatest fucking allies. I can't tell you how many times I've done gig work on the side, especially late at night. Especially late at night. And I have a hard time sleeping. So, at some point, I know I got to get some type of sleep at night, but typically I have a hard time sleeping, right down to the point. If I don't take my sleep aid, melatonin, if I don't take it, I'm going to be up. I'm going to be wired all night long. So, if I don't have no classes or anything going on the next day, I'll be a night owl. I'll go out there. I'll do a couple of little joints. I'll hit the road. I'll go out there, do some stuff for a few hours. I can't tell you how many times I have come across merchants that have, hey, how you doing? Hey, how is it out there? Hey, thank you so much. Be safe out there. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten that. And it's gotten to the point like my face is familiar after a while. Hey, how you doing? Like, pretty good. You working tonight? Yeah, doing my thing. Hey, good, good. What's new with you? Yeah, just doing it. I'll probably see you in a little bit. And usually it's just, hey, see you later. That way my bases are covered. Just imagine treating somebody like that. And I don't know what was more baffling to me. Just that whole tirade that guy went on, or the fact that he said all of this. And I know this was on my mind as I was watching all of this. I couldn't help but go, now what if my man's got to end up coming back there to that establishment? Those that have worked those type of gigs know exactly what I'm talking about. Because when you're working in a specific market out there, right? Because the way this works now, Instacart is obviously different. Instacart, you're driving along, and for those that don't know, with the Instacart app, when you're a shopper for Instacart, the way that shit works, you're just driving around, and whatever is opened and is within at least 30 minutes from where you are, you'll get dinged, and you decide whether or not you want to do that order. DoorDash, on the other hand, is region specific. So let's use DC, for example. DC, they've got those areas broken up in, look, you can work Northwest DC, you can work Southeast, you can work Southwest, and then if you go into Maryland, they break that up by the city. Right? Okay, you want to do Silver Spring, yeah, you want to do, insert Virginia, pretty much the same thing, right? But DC, believe it or not, and that may sound really, really technical the way they do DC, because some people would probably go, well, why not just say DC just to cover all bases? That's because you can break up DC so well that like everybody's going to eat good, right? So if you just want to work in Northwest, okay, that'll be your primary area. And it's interesting because you could get an order from Northwest DC and then have to deliver it to a place in Southwest. Now, if you think, okay, now that I'm done here, I can just easily drive around Southwest, and no. DoorDash is going to say to you, go back to your respected zone so you can get more offers. Right? So I was giving them the breakdown of how the apps work and all that. But I just got done saying, imagine treating somebody like that, and the only thing that person is guilty of is, not only trying to put money in their pocket,
put money in yours,
but they're essentially putting money in yours because they're providing a service, and like
right.
you're treating them like shit. Tammy knows this. Like, I've told her stories about right down to the point. I've been doing DoorDash more because whenever I need money, whatever goal I have in mind, the money from DoorDash is more consistent than Instacart, because Instacart has been, oh, you got to be quicker than that. You know, this batch is no longer available. It's like, motherfucker, I had the app on the entire time. I'm looking at the screen ready for the bitch to pop up. You ding me, and then you say the batch is like, what the fuck? Like, I'm looking right at the place too, right? And it's like, no. But like DoorDash has been more, consistent and all that, that I've just gone, you know what, let me focus more on the DoorDash. And I always tell Tams, I say, hey, look, I was in this area. I was like, oh, this was great. Like, oh man, the merchants, they're cool. I've never come across a merchant that not even have, if they had a bad day, I wouldn't know nothing about it because they had a really great poker face. That guy, there is something mentally wrong
with him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. Even if you're just, like, Lee said, you had a bad day. At the minimum, yeah, have a good one. And not much getting back and forth or whatever. But generally, for things like that, there's not a whole lot of interactions anyway. They're really coming to pick up a bag and go out. That's it.
Wow. So you're inconvenienced for like what?
30 seconds? Maybe to a minute and a half.
If there's a language barrier, maybe an hour. I'm sorry, maybe a minute or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. It's name, bag, out.
Here's the other thing I don't understand. If he feels that way about, and let's be honest here, because this is a really good topic for this particular reason, especially in this current climate that we're in, babe. We know that there are people out there that share in those sentiments of that owner. Hey, if you're in America, you need to learn English. If you're in America, you need to. And look, I hate to burst the bubble. I really, really hate to burst the bubble. But the rise of the Latin community really started blowing up in the late 80s, going into the 90s.
Absolutely.
That mid 2000s, it was announced that, yo, Latin #2, like so much so, the second most spoken language in this country is Spanish. So,
Honestly?
and I wouldn't be surprised if you were to say, no, it seems that English is now #2 because of like,
and eventually it will be.
Yeah, they ain't gonna surprise me, right?
And eventually it will be.
Right. So, but I know that there are people that are out there that kind of actually, well, I agree with my man, yeah, but stuff like that, you really should not, I don't know, be saying that publicly, especially when you are a proprietor that's servicing a community, because the last thing that you want is a goddamn protest outside of that said establishment. And oh my God.
Or them to close down your business.
Right. Like, seriously, shut your mouth. At the end of the day, the only color that should matter is green, and that you're continuing to stay cash flow positives. To do anything else that would jeopardize how you eat,
right,
and your well-being, it's just beyond stupid. And what this guy did was beyond fucking stupid.
Yep.
Okay. I think he's mentally off. Again, I think he's mentally off.
I would tend to agree with you.
I think he's mentally off.
Because there's so many instances in just the last week that a normal person generally wouldn't act like that.
No.
I mean, when you're holding somebody who's coming to deliver something for you, damn near hostage, number one. Number two, you've essentially been shut down by your local inspector for that region. But yet you still continue to remain in operations. Okay, number three, then oh, well, I might be doing something illegal in the back. Not, shh. Why the fuck would you open your mouth? In the day and age of every single solitary person having a camera and a recorder on their phone, why? You didn't think you was smart enough to know how to work it? I mean, really? I mean, that just, unless that just happened to be what it is, and it speaks to the mentality that you don't know another person, how they think, how they act, or what have you. And nor should you interpret that for them.
Right. Well, this is what I don't understand, and maybe somebody can help me out with this. I don't know if it's a theft thing or what, but maybe somebody can help me out with this. If he feels that way about people that don't speak English, this is what I don't understand. Nip this in the bud quite perfectly. You don't want to deal with people that can't speak English at all or not that well. How about this? Person comes into your establishment, DoorDash, Uber Eats. Hey, the orders are right over there.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how many times I've gone into an establishment and
Yes.
I've had somebody go, hey, how you doing? Like, I'm good. Hey, I'm here for a pickup. What's the name? Oh, da 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 da. Oh, go to that wall right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that's done gig work knows exactly what the fuck I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So for the owners, they can make this very easy for themselves,
And
especially if they don't want to be bothered.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the case, whatever's going on, they don't want to be bothered.
Right.
Mind blowing, just fucking mind blowing. I don't feel sorry for that motherfucker. I hope he gets everything that's coming to him.
I don't either.
I don't feel sorry for him. Shout out to my people in the Baltimore, Maryland area. I need to learn more about this, but apparently leading up to the Orioles game that happened earlier today, there was a massive 6-alarm fire. Yeah, it was
at the Orioles at the park.
Not at the park, but there was looks like along the way to the park. Yeah, there was a massive 6-alarm fire there. Also, Washington Nationals. This is making headlines. Washington Nationals demoted CJ Abrams, and rightfully so. Basically, if I understand this right, before their next game, training/game the night before, he decided he was gonna go drinking, clubbing, going to the strip club, whatever. This is a youngin. He needs better representation. So he's been kicked to the minor leagues.
I'm sure he has.
Yeah, he's been demoted, so he's no longer on the Nationals. He's playing for the little minor team. He needs better representation. He needs a better circle of folks around him. He definitely needs a big brother mentor right now that can help steer him in the right direction. This is a prime example too of a recurring theme that we've been seeing a lot, stretched across all sports, but particularly in the NFL, which is, okay, we drafted you, you're whatever, you're a youngin, but we drafted you. You're gonna see in-game action next season. And my whole thing is, look, no. Red shirt them, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Sit their ass on the bench for a season, 2 or 3. Let them really learn, not just the system. Let them learn the culture. That way, what is expected of them, they'll be able to execute accordingly. This is a prime example of when you put some of these young people in a position too fast and they have not matured enough.
True.
Right? What happened to, earn your position.
True.
Earn your position.
That's true.
Now, there are exceptions. if it's a case where, hey, this person, from what we've gathered from their time in high school,
Mm-hmm.
college, they're very honorable, they're
Mhm.
very respectful, nothing but good things. They've never gotten in trouble. Even as far as what they like to do on their downtime, hey, when it comes to meetings. Now, see, some people will say, well, look, what this guy does on his own personal time, that should be his
No.
business. That should be, I beg to differ. I think regardless if you are a 20-year veteran or if you are a rookie that just got signed,
Mm-hmm.
I think that sends a bad image
Mm-hmm.
for the organization / club that you're working for. Now, if it's the off season, your ass been eliminated, right? You ain't gonna go back to training camp for like 3 months. Okay, then you know what?
As
Yeah,
long as
what
you
you
don't get
do,
arrested.
right? What you doing? That's your business.
Right.
But as long as, hey,
Mm-hmm.
we're in session,
Yeah.
you got to be extra careful.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be extra careful.
I think we're also in a day and age, especially with the younger generation, that I think we don't think about the steps in between
Mm.
in reference to teaching young folks the do's and don'ts. Maybe it's said, maybe it's what have you, but it's not hammered in.
Mm-hmm.
We had somebody who came in for a working interview a couple weeks ago. She was not dressed for any working interview.
Ooh.
She wasn't even dressed for an interview. If you would have come to an interview that way back in 10 years ago, they wouldn't even seen you. Not granted, she was fine, and it was, she wasn't inappropriate with it, but she was not dressed to what the expectations of society would have normally expected for an interview.
And I'm just curious, and I'm sure some listeners are curious as well. How did she come dressed?
Checkered slip-ons, jeans, and an old funky shirt.
Wow. Now I'm curious. The shirt. Let's home in on the shirt.
I mean, it's just you.
Did it have a logo or?
No. Well, I don't know if it had a logo or not. I didn't see her like that.
Uh-huh.
But it was definitely just something that you would casually wear out to a baseball game.
And the jeans, any holes?
No.
Because I know the new trend now is holes.
Right.
Yeah.
No, there was no holes in the jeans.
And flip flops.
No, checkered slip-ons. So basically, you just slip your foot into it. So, as a society, there are some things that we're not carried over. I don't think. To everybody. Let me not say, everybody's involved, but not certain things that are just not taught. And I don't think that it wasn't that and mind you, we hired this person.
And y'all ended up hiring this person?
Yes.
Y'all must have been really desperate.
No. She had the personality to fit what we wanted.
Which made up and overshadowed
how she was dressed.
Interesting.
Okay. Perfect analogy. And I actually will want to go back and watch this movie in the near future. But Pursuit of Happiness.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost like that. Now, but still, going back to the, hey, the analogy that I wonder if some of this is truly being taught to younger generations. How to, how to do for, what to bring for an interview, what to wear, what to, are we really teaching the younger generations the ins and outs of the expectation of what people are looking for?
Well,
in reference to going back into the guy who basically, damn, I fucked up.
Yeah.
Did they hammer home, especially with social media now? So it's not like, well, damn, I could, I'm in Cleveland today and, I can go out and tie one on and act, and whatever. It's not going to be all over the fucking international internet. A fact that I've now, and I'm sort of a role model.
Mm.
So I'm sort of a role model because I play for a national baseball league. I'm basically going out to tie one on and do whatever, extra recreational stuff. And it's not a part of, it doesn't represent my team by me doing that. So now it's like a nice old punch to the face for your team while you're in season of the fact that you have no indiscretions. So I can see why the team did that. But my question is, I wonder how much that was hammered home on whether that should have been his choice.
Yeah. One thing that I was thinking about as you were saying all that, from a college level, they are teaching these kids how to properly put a resume together, what all should be on a resume, key terminology, and then maybe we can kind of go into all of that on the next show next weekend. But they are preparing folks, at least from the college level. I can't really speak from the high school level. I would need for some of you parents out there, or some of you high school students yourselves, or maybe a high school graduate, I would need you all to speak on this. But definitely from a college level, they are teaching folks, what should be on a resume and all that. However, as far as, at least to my knowledge, at least, my experience so far, how you should be, actually, you know what? Yes, I am. Because I was also thinking about this seminar I had went to, where for 45 minutes, all the focus was on was the resume. This, do that, do that, do this, do that. One thing that was not highlighted though was how you should be dressed when going
that was what I was wondering.
going to an interview and all that. So I'm very curious, and just for not for nothing, how old was this person?
Young.
I figured.
Young.
I figured. Because a person that is like late 20s and up, they would dress the part. Nobody's saying you got to wear a $500 Armani suit, or you got to fucking dress like Tina Turner or whatever. Elizabeth Taylor from her little perfume joints. Nobody say you got to come to an interview like that, but you do want to. I mean, look, I'll push back on it and be devil's advocate a little bit. If you're going for a white collar job, yes, you need to look professional until you're told otherwise. That, oh, hey, man, you're dressing too over the top. You can come in, casual. Now, if you're going for a job interview at McDonald's / Applebee's, a bar, then how that woman dressed, that
might
definitely, right. You're going for a job at GameStop, right? That fits that respected realm. So I will push back just a little bit. It depends. But yeah, hopefully this humbling and humiliating experience will smarten the young man up. And
I would hope so.
Because it sets a bad precedent. For so this is how it is, huh? Oh, I'm gonna have it made. You kind of almost reminded of how it was in the early days of Dan Snyder when he owned the team. And you remember those first really 10 years of Washington, and it was basically, if you're trying to get paid, kind of like Tony Khan, if you're trying to get paid, go to the Washington Redskins.
Yes.
Right? I mean, fuck, we had Deion Sanders, we had fucking Mark Brunell, we had Kirk Cousins, we had fucking
Brad Johnson,
we had fucking Philadelphia Eagles, Donovan McNabb,
Brad Johnson.
You know, we had RG3.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, like, and motherfucker thought he was going to be able to buy championships.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And he didn't wait for the restructuring process to actually
never,
take hold.
never,
It was always, okay, well, that didn't work. Next.
never. Yo, man, I'm trying to get paid, man. You need to hit up Dan Snyder. I mean, Tony Khan. I mean, you know. Shout out, two last items on the docket. Shout out to Todd McFarlane, the creator of Spawn. I had to share this with you and get your thoughts on this. And no, I did not partake in this. So as many of you guys may recall, maybe about 2, possibly 3 years ago now, Todd McFarlane had did this kick-ass Kickstarter campaign where he basically reimagined one of the first Spawn figures to come out from his toy line back in the day. You know, he reimagined it, and you know, it was very successful. I remember I took part in it. For those of you that are curious about how my experience went with the unboxing and all that, you can easily go on the YouTube channel and just type in RCWR show Spawn Kickstarter, and you'll be able to easily find the video. So I remember saying in that video, though, okay, would I do this again? Was it worth the money? And I remember saying, no, I think it really depends as far as if I would jump out there again. So I know one thing that I had said, and I believe I might have said it in the video as well. I said, I hope that for the next Kickstarter, if they were to reimagine and do a remaster version of Violator, it's basically this monstrous figure that's like an arch enemy of Spawn's. Usually it's in a human form of this fat clown. You know, I know you used to watch a couple of the animated joints with me. We got to get back into that. But anyway, I'm like, you know, if he were to do something like that, would be killer. So for this second attempt, he decided he was going to go in a different direction, and he was going to stay with Spawn and do a remastered, revised, medieval Spawn. This crushed the Kickstarter campaign. This crushed the hell out of the first Kickstarter. This motherfucker was able to rack in over $2 million.
Wow.
For backers.
Wow. Well, he's really with him and the company, he has set somewhat of a precedence, because I've seen some other things that aren't, you know, they're more like real life figures. Like we saw oh shoot, I can't remember what it is, but it's like your favorite movie character or something like that. And they are very real life. Good
articulation.
Our good articulation.
Yeah.
They look so much like the real character. And so I can imagine with that precedence that he set, plus the first Kickstarter, to where there was a lot of people, if I'm remembering correctly, there was a lot of people that with the first Kickstarter couldn't get in on it.
Right.
And it was just done. So knowing kind of the feature from, okay, what happened before, you know, let's see what we can do. And that seems to, but in reference to,
there you go.
Is that the same one or 3 different versions?
So apparently, depending on like which joint you decided to back, there's one where you get all 3 of these.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're.
Let me blow it up for you. Here was the here you go. That gives you an idea of that's it without the color scheme and all that. And for those of you that want to look at this yourself, just go on Kickstarter, type in Spawn, and you should be able to see it. If you happen to come across the original, just jump right to the medieval one. You want medieval Spawn. And you know, as some of the people, there is pushback on this though, because a lot of people were complaining. They were like, my God, the shipping costs fucking ridiculous. And before it was revealed, hey, you get all these free bonuses,
Mm-hmm.
you know, people were upset that they had to pay X amount of money
For the shipping.
no, X
Oh.
amount of money for all these free bonus parts that come with the figure.
Ooh.
So obviously, to kind of quiet that, obviously once they hit their threshold, he decided, okay, well, let's make all these free and everything,
Mm.
and I'm just picturing Todd McFarlane's voice. So you get the little head right here, you swap this little head out, you got your ghoulish spawn there, and you take that head off, you could put a half cocked mask on. If you don't want to do that, you could put this little helmet on all the way. So see, here you go. Here's the 1995. I used to collect all of these too back in the day. I used to beg my mom for money, and I'd be like, "You need anything done around the house? You need me to go do?"
Yeah.
And and once I had the money, I had the whole set, the original set that came out in 1995. I had all the joints that came out: Medieval Spawn, Violator, original Spawn. I had them all. Angela, I had them all back in the day. So yeah, there's the 1995 original.
Okay.
And then this is the 2024 remaster. So as you can
Wow.
see,
That's like a character on steroids.
yeah, it's like it's not quite the 1995, but that does look really fucking good.
Yeah.
That does look really fucking good, and I love the fact that it's 7 inches compared to the 5. I mean, it doesn't look like it though. I mean, it looks like it's maybe like at 10 or whatever. But
yeah, the way they have it pictured.
Yeah,
it does look like that.
That's pretty badass. So if you wanted just a basic classic medieval Spawn, $58. And then from there, that's where the prices just keep going up. Like once you get to the $110 version, then you start talking about autograph.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then you got the standard 3-pack. That's $210.
Ooh.
Yeah. By the way, for those of you, congrats to those of you that went on ahead and you put your money down on that one. Everybody else that decided they were going to wait on the sidelines, I can't wait to hear some of the reviews from those that get it, and would they buy the next one? How was their experience and all that? It looks cool. Don't get me wrong, it looks cool, but it doesn't jump out to me, right? Because that's not what I would have wanted. Because like, okay, folks already got a Spawn,
right?
I mean, yes, a lot of people love medieval Spawn, but do the clown, do the violator, do Malboja, the devil, basically. Like, do those next. Like, I think a lot of fans, they were eagerly anticipating those. Right.
To kind of have a counter to Spawn versus another variation.
Right. Because he's been doing a lot. I don't know if you noticed this on social media, but he's been doing a lot of Batman variations. I mean, don't get me wrong, some of them are pretty good, but he has been OCD on Batman as of late. And I get it. You got to do what you got to do to keep
what racks in the sales.
Yeah. But saying this in closing, he has set a new precedent as far as if you are a toy company or if you are just making stuff from your fucking basement and you're like, yo, I mean, seriously, there are people that I know of that are figure sculptors. They make their own custom wrestlers and all that other shit. I'm looking at some of this great craftsmanship and all that, and I'm just going, yo, if Todd McFarlane can fucking do this and command over $2 million, what is stopping you guys from making a Kickstarter joint and going, look, I'm gonna fucking, make these toys, make these figures. We're going to have them be available on a much bigger, grander scale. If you guys want this is how much you'll have to pay. Right. And in part, this will help me with the shipping. This will help me with, XYZ. There's a mosquito in here. You know how I am with mosquitoes, y'all. But like, XYZ, this will help us with this. This will help us with that. He really has, I hope the industry is watching, because I hope they've been paying attention because, unfortunately, and what made Todd McFarlane start this in the first place is because what he was envisioning when he tried pitching to toy manufacturer companies, they were like, yeah, we don't
Not
really think
interested.
that's gonna sell.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool, but we don't really think that's gonna sell. And so his whole thing was, no, I'm right about this. I'm pretty sure this will sell. And that's ultimately what got him to the dance per se in the first place, and getting opportunities to work with DC, to work with video game publishers, to work with, that's what ultimately. So he definitely has there's money to be had. There is money to be had.
If you have the talent and the right networking tools or the right people that can network for you,
Yeah.
there's money to be made.
Hell yeah. Hell fucking yeah. So shout out to Todd McFarlane. Get that money. Like I can't hate. I know he's catching some heat online. People can say what they want. Look, I'm not gonna tell somebody how to spend their money. You know what I'm saying? Like if that's what they
if that's what floats their boat,
right.
Okay.
And fuck P. Diddy. Fuck P. Diddy. Shout out to our sponsors.
Did you see that video I sent you?
Yeah. One topic that we did not get into. Yes, I am aware about Janet Jackson issuing an apology to Kamala Harris.
Oh.
Yeah. So Janet Jackson was interviewed by The Guardian, and basically she spoke about misinformation about Kamala Harris in regards to her ethnic background. The manager for Janet Jackson said she deeply respects Vice President Harris and her accomplishments as a Black and Indian woman. Janet apologizes for any confusion caused and acknowledges the importance of accurate representation and public discourse. We appreciate the opportunity to address this and will remain committed to promoting unity. Now, for those of you not aware, Jackson previously said that in regards to Harris's family background, when we're talking about it, she did admit that she did not know what all she was talking about because she didn't have all the information. But at the time during this interview, and I really wish she would have just not answered, but at the time she said, and I quote, well, what they supposedly said, she's not Black. That's what I heard, that she's Indian. When the reporter clarified that Harris is both Black and South Asian heritage, Jackson responded, her father's white. That's what I was told. I mean, I haven't watched the news in a few days. I was told they discovered her father was white. Jackson was in part relying on this theory, whatever you want to call it, bullshit propaganda, whatever you want to call it, that and it all ties back to what Trump was talking about. Hey, I didn't know she was Black until a number of years ago. She just happened to turn Black. And very rare will you hear me go, well, to be devil's advocate and link Trump to that. But in this case, to be devil's advocate, the Associated Press, CNN, and a couple of other major outlets ran with the headline about Kamala Harris. So that's what he was reading off of. He was getting his information from those guys. For the record, Kamala Harris' father is a Jamaican American professor of economics at Stanford University, while her late mother was a renowned breast cancer researcher and scientist who hailed from southern India. Both parents of Kamala's, essentially, they were immigrants as far as the United States. how they met, really cool, because they met as graduate students at the University of California. So full context right there. Um, my whole thing, you would think that as long as Janet Jackson has been in this game, and you can speak a lot more to this than I, because you're a huge Janet Jackson fan, right down to the point. Because Tammy didn't know I was going to lay this on her. Right down to the point, you were playing Rhythm Nation earlier today while you were cleaning. So,
Yes, it was.
so, but my optics from a distance, this surprised me because usually Janet Jackson
Doesn't go
is
that way. I mean, she doesn't go that deep nor that far.
usually she is strategic about
Yes.
what she's gonna say, what
Yes.
she's gonna do, and how she's gonna
Mhm.
right. So I'll
Mhm.
defer to you on all things Janet here.
Well, Janet doesn't do a whole lot of interviews.
Mhm.
Generally.
Mhm.
And when she does, it's really about promoting whatever it is she wants to promote.
Mhm.
And then a couple of questions, soft curve questions here and there, but it's not. But of course, we're in a time that everybody wants to know what everybody thinks about our two, candidates right now. But I've never heard her nor seen her get into the gossip realms or this person said, but apparently she was given misinformation and she ran with it. But the funny thing is, once someone corrects you
And shout out to the reporter for that, because he literally or they rather, because I don't know if it was a male or female reporter, but they literally tried to give her a lifeline.
Right, and she didn't take it.
Right.
So that's kind of odd.
Yeah.
I've never heard her step out like that.
Very interesting. Very
Because
interesting.
generally she's very laid back, very conservative. I say as much as I need to say, and that's that.
To the point, and I know some of the listeners will jump at this, but to the point, have you ever recalled her, as big of a fan as you've been? Have you ever recalled her getting very deep into politics,
No.
endorsements, and
What? Well, she is, or she has, her own opinion about certain things.
okay.
Rhythm Nation was part of, which is one of her really breakout albums for her, was sort of a political answer to some of the things that were going on at that point.
Mm.
So yes, she does have an ear to what's going on politically, but generally she hasn't been in many years that outspoken about this form or that form. Now, back in the 80s, you heard her a lot more about a lot of other topics. Yes, because at that point she was very invested. But that was over 30 years ago.
Angel asks Pam Greer. This is such a weird, random question, but it's all good. Pam Greer, Foxy Brown, or Bernadette Stannis, the daughter on Good Times, who is more beautiful? In their book, they say definitely, easily Bernadette. I think it really depends. Like for me personally, it's almost kind of like I think the best way to answer that, I would okay. Bernadette on Good Times was cute. She was definitely cute. But I personally liked how she aged in the later years. I think she looks more beautiful now, even like 15, 20 years ago. I think once she matured, you're like, whoa, once she really got into her adult body,
Yes.
and the maturity in her face and all that really started kicking in, that's when you're like, wow, she was really,
Mhm.
really turning some heads there, I think. Foxy Brown, let's take away Foxy Brown, like because you're thinking about the whole movie character and all that, but let's just say Pam Grier,
Grier.
period.
Right.
Pam Grier, from the moment that she stepped onto the scene, commanded the camera.
Had that
Even from
maturity already too.
had the maturity already as well. Like, even when you go back to one of the first movies that she had starred in, which was a semi minor role, you're looking at her and you're going, you know what? She's got a unique look.
Mhm.
She is definitely going to be going places. She does this right. She's going to be a force to reckon with for the decades to come, without a shadow of doubt. Um, and I mean, from the essentially the late 60s going into the 70s, definitely the 80s.
Mhm.
Hell, even when you went to um, whatever year Foxy Brown, wait a minute, yeah, the Quentin Tarantino joint. Um, when you go to that period, when that movie was it Foxy Brown? Quentin Tarantino? Was it Foxy
I
Brown?
don't think so.
What the
I
hell
think
was
it was. I think it was something else. I
it
don't.
was
I
some
don't
it was something
remember.
else, but Pam Grier was in it.
Wasn't that like mid-90s?
Yeah. But no, my God, yeah. I mean, you can just take her from any respected decade and
For
go,
Yeah, for me, I echo Lee's sentiments in reference to now. If you're comparing in reference to Thelma when she's coming into her own as far as the maturity versus Pam Grier. Well, sorry,
and I'm
Pam
thinking
Grier
of
versus Bernadette Peters.
and I'm thinking about 1970s Beyond the Valley of the Dolls and 1971's The Big Doll House. You just knew
Mhm.
she was going to be a force to reckon with. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
go ahead.
that's okay. But you know, if you're comparing that, for me, I would go with Thelma. I mean, with Bernadette Peters. So from Thelma from Good Times. Now, and I watched tons of Good Times, over and over and over again. But for me, I agree. Lee stating that Thelma at that point she was cute and she was still very young at that point and still trying to find her own sense of self and her acting ability. But that
Jackie
enhances,
Brown.
yeah, but that enhances the person's beauty
Mhm,
when they are confident in themselves and their craft.
mhm.
And that where you meet Pam Grier where she is, she had that already
Mhm,
in droves.
mhm.
With her maturity level, um, with her craft and what she had, she was like Lee said, she was already a force to reckon with. Um, but that's my answer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Jackie Brown, 1997. To your
Yeah,
point.
I was like, I was almost thinking, I feel like it's something brown, but I wasn't sure.
Now, when you look at, it's so funny too, because for almost 3 decades, Pam Grier aged very well.
Yes, she
Even
did.
when she was on that hit series, The L Word,
Mm-hmm.
she aged pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
But I would definitely say, coming out of, I would say coming out of the mid 2000s, if you're like, hey, whatever happened to Thelma from Good Times, like early mid 2000s, you're
Mm-hmm.
like, damn,
Right.
you're like, hey,
Right.
now what's going on here? So it's kind of interesting how, and then
even up to the last, recent meet and greet that she's done. She's still recognizable. She still looks beautiful.
Mhm.
In reference to her out, things that she's doing out and about. She's kept her weight down
Mhm.
to, make her look as recognizable as she did back then.
Mhm.
So that has helped her. But that she was born with some damn good genes.
Yeah, damn good genes. And Pam Grier, who's 75 years old, just turned 75 a couple of months ago, almost doesn't look recognizable today.
She doesn't look like she looked back then.
Yeah. And look, you're talking about a person in their 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody is going to continue to be able to, well, they can if they're continuing dieting, exercising, and all that. But, she's put on a lot of weight.
Yeah.
She's put on a lot of weight.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of one of those, hey, slow down a little bit now. Like, it's good that you're enjoying life and everything, but we want you around as long as humanly possible.
Right.
Look, even Shaka Khan eventually kind of,
she pulled back.
She kind of pulled back a little bit and everything, yeah, that was a good one. I like little trivia questions like that. All right. Shout out to our sponsors. I'm not going to go into naming each and every one of them because everybody knows exactly who they are. We love you tremendously. We appreciate you guys big time. Shout out to those that support the show. Thank you all that's been checking out the shows for on demand and on downloads wherever you get your podcast. Numbers continuing to be steady. Show us love and just if you are on Spotify a lot, go and leave us a rating on there. Definitely hit us up with it's that time once again. We definitely need ratings and reviews on Apple and all them places because it definitely helps putting more ears on the content. So do that and thanks. And yeah, any last words?
No, not that I can think of.
We did good. Very nice deluxe episode, well-rounded, went all over the place. I'm gonna have fun titling this episode. I don't know. Maybe I'll call it "Pass the Damn Wrench" or something. I don't know. I came in for a wrench. I don't know. We'll figure it out though. She's the beautiful and the lovely Tammy Lee Sanders here. Wishing all of y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. We'll see you next go around, everybody. Take care.
Take care.